crowd. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
Your Toyota's been through a lot with you. Traffic, rain, potholes, you name it. But it keeps showing up mile after mile. So maybe it's time to give a little back. For a limited time at your local Toyota dealer, get 3 new tires and get the 4th for $1. Because a ride that's always there for you deserves to be taken care of. 3 tires, get the 4th for $1? Go on. Treat your Toyota. Deal ends April 30th. Keep your Toyota a Toyota. Restrictions apply. Toyota and Scion vehicles only. See participating Toyota dealers for details.
I've been burned before. I was just repeating the same patterns. It turns out I had a type.
Workplaces everywhere are looking for love. And by love, we mean the easy way to order food at work. EasyCater.
I thought ordering from great restaurants at work had to be complicated, but then I met EasyCater. So many options, so flexible, and when I ordered for 50 gluten-free vegans without going over budget, I knew I'd found the platform I wanted to do life and lunch with.
Fall in love with EasyCater. Start an order at EasyCater.com.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports 1140. It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson. Online at SactownSports.com or on the app. Kings, Niners, and Sacramento. The Matt and Kayla Show starts now.
Jason, I'm sorry. Jason, I'm sorry. Jason? It's for you. I'm sorry. For those of you just tuning in, wondering why I'm profusely apologizing to Jason Ross, it's because, well, in the closing seconds of Crosstalk with Dave and Jason decided he was going to take a shot at the trash can with his water bottle. Well, the impulse to play defense overcame me. And, well, I blocked the shot. And I sent it right back into Jason's face. Sorry, Jason Ross. One of the worst things I could do. I've already pissed off enough people in this city. Let's not piss off Jason Ross, because that's the one that'll end the worst for me. Hello, and welcome in to Matt and Kayla here on a Monday. Except there's no Kayla. It's just me, Matt, by myself. Kayla will be back tomorrow as part of the show. She is wrapping up a weekend, I believe, down in L.A., if I'm not mistaken. She's in La La Land. She will be back with us tomorrow, but we made it, y'all. We made it. The Sacramento Kings season is over. It's come to an end. But we are going to hear a lot from the Sacramento Kings today. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Russell Westbrook is speaking with the media right now. So we will have Russell Westbrook's comments and the comments of Zach LaVine, who's set to speak right after him. We will have those for you in the next couple of segments. Then we have a nice gap of time until DeMar DeRozan is scheduled to speak with the media for his annual exit interview at around 11 o'clock. So the plan is today to take DeMar DeRozan's press conference as well as the remaining press conferences after that, including Domantas Sabonis, DeAndre Hunter, Malik Monk, Precious Achiuwa, Keegan Murray, Maxime Raynaud, and maybe Neat Clifford, although that might be too late at the end of the show. The plan is to take those live and react to what those players have to say as the day goes on. Who will not be speaking today is Doug Christie, but we will be talking about Doug Christie a lot here in just a second because over the weekend, the Sacramento Kings committed to Doug Christie as their head coach going forward. And I think it's the absolute right decision. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we'll talk about the offseason that awaits Scott Perry. Scott, at some point, will also address the media now that the season is over, but I do not believe that will be today. So we'll hear from Scott Perry and Doug Christie at some point, probably this week, but not entirely sure. We have not been given that information as of right now. So again, over the course of today, you will hear from a plethora of Sacramento Kings players. We'll hear from Russell Westbrook and Zach LaVine in the near future. The Kings, their season came to an end last night in Portland, the same place where just over 3 years ago, inside the Moda Center, the Sacramento Kings clinched their first playoff appearance in almost 20 years, ending the longest playoff drought in NBA history. While in that same building 3 years later, the Kings end what is statistically their second worst season in the Sacramento era history. Now, you can kind of say it's tied for second worst because they have had another season where they won just 22 games. However, that was the lockout shortened season in 2011-2012. This season, the Kings go 22-60. 60 losses for the Sacramento Kings this season. Definitely not something that we predicted going in, but something that might be, as we've been calling, a necessary evil. There are positives, for sure, to take away from this Kings season. It is not all negative, although I know it has been a frustrating year for everybody. There are definitely positives to take away, and we will address and talk about those positives on today's show. But the biggest positive, the number one thing to take away from this season for the Sacramento Kings is simply, it is undeniable what route that they should take, and I believe this season has forced them on the right path. And that path is specifically a proper, patient rebuild. Right? No more of this, hey, maybe we can make it to the playoffs via the play-in and then see where we can go from there. No more short-sighted looks at some sort of postseason. No. This team needs to build to become a perpetual playoff team and hopefully, eventually, a championship contender, a legitimate contender. And this season, hopefully, is the necessary evil, the first step to put the Kings on that path. Now, some of you might be frustrated because we'll get into the Kings draft lottery odds in a second. The best way for the Kings to start a rebuild, the best way for the Kings to accomplish that goal of contending for a championship is by acquiring a star. And the best way to acquire a star for a small market like Sacramento is through the draft. Well, because of the actions of the Sacramento Kings over the last, let's call it, month or so, they've won a decent chunk of games to wrap up this season, which sent them from top, in terms of draft lottery odds, the worst record in the NBA, to which they had a 3-game lead in the Tankathon standings over everybody else, has now sent them to tied with the Utah Jazz for 4th. Now, in terms of draft lottery odds between the Kings and the Jazz, both teams will have the same odds at the number 1 overall pick, which is an 11.5% chance. They also have the same odds of finishing in the top 4, which is a 45.2% chance. However, there will be a coin flip that has some pretty significant implications on top 6 odds. Let me lay this out for you. If the Kings win the coin flip between them and the Utah Jazz, they will have a 79.8% chance of picking in the top 6. And in my opinion, you need a top 6 pick. No disrespect to the 7th or 8th guys, whether that's Nate Ament or Michael Brown Jr. or whoever's in that range. But in my opinion, the Sacramento Kings need to be top 6. They need to be top 6. So if they win this coin flip with Utah, they will have a 79.8% chance. If they lose the coin flip, they drop to a 65.7% chance of being in the top 6. Now, it's still a likelihood. However, a 14.1% difference between winning the flip and losing the flip for top 6 odds. That's pretty massive. That's a big deal. So this coin flip, while it doesn't have implications on the grand prize, doesn't have implications at the very top of the draft, right? It matters in terms of the likelihood of you being in that top 6. It matters in terms of the floor. So I have a lot of people saying, what's this coin flip all about? That's it right there. Winning the coin flip essentially just gives you a significantly better chance of finishing with a top 6 pick. Now, of course, we're not just shooting for top 6. We're shooting for the stars. We're going for number 1, which is AJ Domantas, I believe. And that, again, will be, regardless of who wins or loses the coin flip, it'll be an 11.5% chance for both teams. The Wizards, Pacers, and Nets all finish with the worst records. They all have the best chance at number 1 overall, which is 14%, and a 52.1% chance of being in the top 4. So that's how the Tankathon standings shape up. The last time the Kings won 22 games in a season was, like I mentioned, the 2011-2012 season when the Kings won just 22 games in what was a lockout shortened season. That year, Marcus Thornton led the Sacramento Kings in scoring. You remember Marcus Thornton? He was a bucket. Marcus Thornton got buckets. He averaged 18.7, 18.8 points per game, around that mark. DeMarcus Cousins averaged a double-double that season for the Kings. 18 points, 11 rebounds a game. Isaiah Thomas was the 60th pick in the draft. The summer of 2011 ended up finishing 7th in Rookie of the Year voting. That season, the Kings finished 14th in the West, just ahead of, at the time, the New Orleans Hornets. The Charlotte Bobcats were the worst team in the NBA that year. The Kings finished with the 6th worst record in the NBA. However, in the draft lottery that year, the Kings ended up with the 5th overall pick. And with that pick, they told Damian Lillard they were going to draft him, and instead pivoted at the last second to selecting Thomas Robinson out of Kansas because he fell to them, and they felt they couldn't pass it up. Well, they should have, because Thomas Robinson was a massive bust, and that goes down as another one of many dumb decisions in the draft in particular in the Sacramento Kings history. So let's hope that history doesn't repeat itself in that sense. Let's hope that the Kings have better than the 5th pick in this draft. But over the weekend, it was reported by Sam Amick of The Athletic that the Sacramento Kings will not have a coaching vacancy. Doug Christie will remain the head coach of the Sacramento Kings next season. To which I say bravo. I think it's the right choice. I think Doug Christie absolutely deserves to keep his job because I've been consistent with this since Mike Brown was fired in December of 2024. First and foremost, the issues with the Sacramento Kings fall upon roster construction. That is the first, second, third, and fourth problem with this team. Roster construction. It's been like that since Beam Team 1. Beam Team 1, Monty McNair, they failed to address the issues with the roster, and then they failed again, and if they failed again, and then they blamed Mike Brown for it, fired him. And then Doug Christie inherited the team, and arguably the roster construction problem got even worse. Why? Because, well, the Kings traded De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine. The roster has never made sense. While this roster is easily, in terms of names and talent, one of the most prolific, star-studded rosters that the Sacramento Kings have ever had, the construction was terrible. It never made sense. And when this group played together, they played poorly. I know there were a lot of injuries. That is a valid excuse, but it's not the excuse. It is not the reason for why this team was this bad. It's because this roster didn't make sense, never fit the identity, never fit really the pillars. It was a mess. So to blame Doug Christie for that after I did not blame Mike Brown for that would be hypocritical. It is not Doug Christie's fault. Now, is Doug Christie the perfect head coach? No. Is Doug Christie a good head coach? Y'all, I don't know the answer to that question because we haven't been given really a fair shake of whether or not that's the case at all. We don't know because of how this season has gone. But the biggest argument that I can make in the favor of Doug Christie is this. With where the Sacramento Kings are headed, and I believe they were doomed to head in this direction anyway, and it's a necessary evil. In fact, the injuries helped the Sacramento Kings get to the point that they needed to get to. Because had this team stayed perfectly healthy this season, maybe they win 30 games. So they probably would have had a better record. But you know where that would have put them? Like 8th or 9th in terms of tankathon standings and draft lottery odds. That would be bad. The Kings needed a season like this. They needed to lose, and now they need ping pong balls to be on their side. But they are transitioning into the early stages of a true rebuild. Scott Perry has called this his evaluation season. Well, here's what he can evaluate. This roster is terrible. It's not cohesive at all. It's way too expensive. And it does not fit the identity of which the Sacramento Kings are trying to establish. I'm not saying everybody does it and it's a fire sale and get rid of everybody. But this roster, the way that they're playing now compared to the way that they're playing at the beginning of the season, night and day different in a positive way. We're seeing the Kings, and we saw the Kings at the end of this season playing more to the standard, playing more to their identity than they ever have this season, but they were doing it with their younger guys. They were doing it with guys that understood their roles. So the start of this Sacramento Kings rebuild is simple. There's two things that are most important from a coaching standpoint starting this summer and going into next season. Number one, player development, and number two, establishing the identity. And those two areas are the two biggest strengths of Doug Christie this season. Were there weaknesses? Absolutely. From rotational decisions, confusing messaging, X's and O's decisions, right? Doug Christie, as a first-time head coach, definitely made some mistakes. And he'll admit them before anybody else will. But the two areas that I would argue are most important, if we're grading a test, you know how like certain sections, one was worth 40%, then one was worth 30%, then you had a couple others each worth 10% each. The 40% and 30% are player development and establishing the identity. And that 70% those have been the biggest strengths of Doug Christie that he's shown over the last, let's call it 2 months. And if you want to just say that, well, Maxime Raynaud's improvement just came from him getting a lot of playing time because Domantas Sabonis got hurt. So he just got to play with Russell Westbrook. That's why he got better. Well, Nick Clifford just started playing 35 to 40 minutes a night in the second half of the season. That's why he got better. Dylan Cardwell just got to play. That's why he got better. If you're going to say that, you're essentially saying that coaching does not matter, which is not true. Do not disrespect, do not disregard what Doug Christie has done and how he has developed these players this season. Of course, he doesn't get all the credit, and he wouldn't take any of it. I'm telling you, he would not. But he and his coaching staff deserve that credit. And if Scott Perry is sitting there before he made this decision, asking himself, based off of what I've seen from Doug Christie, should I have confidence in his ability to develop these younger guys further, and should I have the confidence to place whatever rookie we draft this summer into Doug's hands to develop? The answer, as of right now, should be yes, based off of the track record, based off of what he's shown. He deserves that credit. He deserves that recognition. Those are the number 1 and 2 arguments for why Doug deserves to keep his job. But we're talking crawl before you can walk, before you can run, y'all. We know that the Sacramento Kings have aspirations of making the playoffs and staying there and making a deep playoff run and bringing a title to Sacramento. Nobody wants that more than Doug Christie, according to him. Do I know if Doug Christie's the right coach for that? I have no freaking clue. And if you were to, I guess, put it on like a scale of 50 being right in the middle, 1 through 49 being negative, 51 through 100 being positive in terms of my faith in Doug Christie right now as the correct coach to lead this team to the playoffs and to a title, it would probably skew more on the negative side than the positive. But that's right now. Because we're a long way off from that. From where the Sacramento Kings are starting, I think Doug Christie's the right head coach. He's proven he deserves another shot. He deserves to continue to develop these young guys, and he deserves to have a roster that's more cohesive with the vision that he and Scott Perry are unified on and are trying to execute. That's what we need. Right? And there's all of us who have covered Sacramento Kings basketball or followed Sacramento Kings basketball for the last 20 years understand the significance of consistency at that position, right? How can you expect a team to have any consistency on the court if it's a revolving door at that head coach spot? The Kings committing to Doug Christie is much better than the alternative. I know there are some of y'all, I haven't read the comment section very much yet, but I know that there are some of y'all going, I would have been happier if Doug Christie was fired. Let's explore that for just a second. If Doug Christie was fired, would you be happy? Or would you then in turn look at Scott Perry and ask two questions? One, was it Scott's hire even in the first place? Because there's always speculation about was Scott told to hire Doug, or did Scott actually hire Doug when Vivek Ranadive gave him the job? That's speculation that this organization does not need any more of. And number two, how do we feel about the first decision that Scott Perry made as general manager, committing to Doug Christie as his head coach? A year later, not even a year, less than a year later, he fires that head coach. Would we really feel better? Would that really give us more confidence in our front office and this organization going forward? No, it would not. Firing Doug Christie would not have been a good thing for this Kings team this summer. I firmly believe that. Time will tell if it's right or not. Doug has one more guaranteed year left on his deal, which is next season, part of his prove-it contract that he signed. Then he has a third-year, essentially, team option. But in coaching, you typically don't have lame duck years. So Doug will either lose his job this season, make it to the end, or this next season, make it to the end of that season and lose his job, or the Kings will assign him to an extension if things go well, and that's what we should all be rooting for. All right, we'll take the break. When we come back, we will start to hear from some Sacramento Kings players. We will begin with Russell Westbrook. We don't know what his future is like in Sacramento, if he's going to be brought back or not, if he wants to come back. Maybe Russ will talk about this. We will hear from Kings veteran point guard and star Russell Westbrook on the other side of the break. Matt and Kayla are just getting started here the first day after the Sacramento Kings season. It's over, but we still got lots to talk about. It's Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
Oil isn't the only resource hit hard by global events. American farmers are sounding the alarm by fertilizer prices at planting season. Will this disrupt our food supply? Raising prices? Cause shortages? I'm not waiting to find out, and neither should you. Go to mypatriotsupply.com, get a 3-month emergency food supply. They'll include $200 worth of extra survival protein absolutely free. After serving more than 3 million American families since 2008, you can trust mypatriotsupply.com. Go to mypatriotsupply.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
In conversation with Dr. Bob Jones IV, I asked him what the most significant contribution his grandfather Bobby Jones had made to the world of golf. Jones IV replied that there's no part of the game as we know it today that was not in some way influenced by Bobby Jones, and called him the most singularly important individual to have played the game. Why do we have 4 major championships? Because Bobby Jones won 4. When the professionals wanted to add a fourth professional major, they chose the Masters, a tournament founded by Bobby Jones on the course Jones built at the club he co-founded. Jones IV says the USGA's highest honor is the Bob Jones Award for Sportsmanship. Bobby Jones changed equipment, he changed golf writing, he created golf instructional videos in 1932 that are still state-of-the-art today, and he did all this without forgetting the average golfer. No part of the game has not had the mark of Bobby Jones, says his grandson Bob Jones IV, and no argument here. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Feel the thunder.
It's the energy all around you.
Lightning and the thunder.
The thrill of the moments to come. The flash of lights. The rush of pure exhilaration. The roar of the crowd. See it, hear it, feel it.
Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
Sacramento! Now you've got a place for all things dance.
The all-new Energy 100.5 HD2.
Where dance music lives. Dance vibes anytime and any place when you get the free Now 100.5 app.
Or listen at 100.5 HD2.
There's the hard way to buy a car, and then there's the Hoblet way. Transparent prices, fast paperwork, and a team that's there to help, not hover. We've spent 77 years refining this process so you can get in, get out, and get driving with zero drama. Car buying doesn't have to be stressful. At least, not when you do it the Hoblet way. Experience the difference at HobletDodge.com. The easy way to buy.
Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
Sacramento Kings season is over. The 2025-2026 season has come to an end. The Kings end with a 22-win, 60-loss record, which is indeed the second worst season in Sacramento's history. In the Sac era history, I should say, of the Kings. But today is exit interview day, and the one thing that you can say about this team is, well, amidst all of everything that happened, all the losing, all the frustrations, the losing streaks, this team stayed together. And a large part of that was because of the veteran leadership, including from this gentleman. Let's hear from Russell Westbrook from the Golden One Center. I'm sure he'll be asked about his future in Sacramento.
I imagine this is a little dramatic difference from what you thought this season could be to where it ended up. As you just kind of reflect back, how do you kind of look at this season overall for you individually, what this team was, and how do you kind of see what the future could be?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't have a job until a couple of days before the season, so I had no expectations of what could be. I was just blessed and thankful to have an opportunity to be able to start another NBA season. And obviously, as things unfolded here, trying to figure out the best way to compete, be competitive, given the late arrival for myself. But I feel good about how the year went, at least for me personally. Made it through healthy, so I'm blessed to be able to do that and get through a season healthy, especially at this age and years in the league. So grateful for that. As far as with myself, I mean, it's been great for me here. If I'm welcome back, then I'll be back. But that's not up to me. it's kind of how it's been for me the last couple summers and seasons, unfortunately. But kind of see what happens at that point.
Hey, Russ, good morning.
Morning.
When you kind of look at this season, like you were saying, you were brought in a few days before the season starts, and then the entire season kind of plays out how it does. But for you, in your career, one of the highest, I mean, and then one of the parts that really stood out was just kind of your veteran leadership and how you really took on that role. When you kind of assess everything from this season and then kind of looking at what your future may be, when you think about Sacramento and kind of what you've been able to bring up for those young guys, how important or how much, I mean, I know it's not in your control, but how much of that goes into like your process and wanting to be here and things like that?
I think leadership is probably, for me, one of my best traits that I really enjoy the most, because you can see it, from year to year, from young players, years down the line. I've had many players that I've been with come to me, 5 or 10 years later and tell me moments that helped them start the process. So anytime I'm able to have an opportunity to be able to do that, I look forward to it. And if that's here, I embrace it and look forward to doing that, especially with the young guys we have here. Proud of how they ended the season, how they improved, given the time they was given, and I'm grateful for that.
Earlier this year, we asked you to maybe explain the celebration you have after you hit a 3.
Yeah.
End of the season, you said. So I'm here to ask you, can you explain to me the celebration?
Yeah, media day, I got you.
Excited for next year for that. Second one is this: you've had an illustrious career, played with a lot of great players, playing with DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Was that special this year?
Yeah, definitely, man. DeMar is like a brother. I've been knowing, we call him Debo, but been knowing DeMar since we were little, so it was definitely a grateful experience on many levels, not just on the court, but getting an opportunity to be able to bond and talk off the floor more than normal, which was great for me. Kind of made it, obviously, as you mentioned, a memorable experience for myself, and that's my brother for life, so we always locked in, so nothing changes there.
So I got 2 questions. Do you want to come back? You just said something about media day. Is it okay?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind coming back. Yeah, I'm always anywhere I'm wanted. I'm there. I want to be able to be helpful, be productive, but also I understand it's a business. I've been around a long time, so I understand a lot of different moving variables for that, and that's out of my control. My job is to be ready, be prepared, and be ready to go.
And going back to what Marcus talked about, with the young players, because they did show some segments last night of you, coaching up the young players on the sidelines and things like that. Is this, not trying to jump out, too far ahead. Is this something that you may be interested in the future as far as coaching?
Yeah. Nah, man. Listen, people every day always telling me I'm gonna be a coach, but I don't want to coach. I coach my kids though. That's it, man. I don't want to coach, man. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna say no right now, but my answer is no, though. You know what I mean? But that's not that can change. I think. Compared to everybody else.
Russ, you're 18. This year, you and DeMar were kind of like dueling banjos, passing people on the all-time scoring list. You had the rebound moment. You had the assist moment. Have you had time to reflect on all of the accomplishments that you've done, not just for your career, but even in this season alone?
No, not yet. But like I said, during those moments, I'm always extremely blessed and grateful to be able to do that. Being healthy, being able to have opportunity to be able to go out and break some of those records or be mentioned with some of the great players, I'm always grateful for that.
Hey, Russ. Obviously a challenging season, but what are some things that maybe brought you joy this year around this team?
Just being able to, I think anytime you're able to have a new group of guys, for me, it's always a new challenge. I like it because I'm having an opportunity to be able to learn about different players, learn about their journeys, learn about what pushes them, learn about what inspires them. And to me, that is the best part of the journey. Being in this league, you get a chance to be able to meet coaches, players, personnel, staff members and of all different facets of life, and you have an opportunity to be able to impact them positively, and that to me is the best part about being, an organization, and obviously this year too.
Russ, you've been around long enough. You've seen guys come and go in this league.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you thought about Max's development this year.
I thought Max did a great job. I thought he did a great job of listening, learning, watching, and you guys seeing how talented he is, and his challenge now is just getting better each year. That's the goal in this league, is to be able to try to be consistent and be better each and every year, and find ways to be able to fine-tune his game. But I'm not worried about Max. He works on this game. He's diligent in his work, and I'm looking forward to great things from him.
What was this year like for you, front row here on your left, interacting and being led by Doug Christie and Scott Perry? What was your impressions of being around them this year?
No, they were fine, man. They were great. Like I told you, man, it was a little different. This is the first time for me where I'm missing training camp and different things of that nature, so I had to kind of catch up on that aspect. But as far as relationship goes, relationship was fine. I've known Scott some time, and obviously getting the chance to know Doug was great, and having a relationship with both of them was good for me. So
I'm curious for you, realizing the career accomplishments and obviously continuing to play at a high level, but also maybe the pull of and maybe the hunger of wanting to do so on a winning team, or a team that can go deep into the playoffs. What's that kind of balance for you as you look for potentially your next opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, the balance is, to me, is simple. I think it's just given the opportunity, I'll go out and compete. If that's when trying to go on a winning team, then cool. But I also think it's something that, I think as you get older, at least for myself, people pay too much attention to, or trying to get on with teams and try to, winning the championship is not guaranteed. It's not up to me. If things have to align, there's so many different things that have to align for you to better win a championship in this league, and I think you guys all understand that as well, and I think we just don't talk about it enough. And personally, for me, I just think it's a lot of pressure putting on, decisions you make and how you make them and where you go to try to win the championship, or give yourself the best opportunity. But sometimes you can be in a position and it don't work out, and that's it. So for me, it's just been in a place where I'm wanted, having fun, enjoying the game, and to me, that's most important.
Hey, Russ, throughout your career, the thing that has been synonymous with you is playing hard, never taking a play off, enjoying what you do. No. In year 18, it was the same thing this year. You definitely played with a lot of enthusiasm, joy, passion. Where does that come from, and what keeps you inspired even after your 18th year to continue playing out there with that youthful energy?
Yeah, man, I learned at a young age, I don't take anything this game has given me. God has put me in a position to be here this long, and I don't take the game for granted. I don't take being in this position for granted. It's hard to get in this league. It's hard to be in this league a good amount of time, and I like to cherish and enjoy those moments. And given this platform, I try to use the way I play, use my energy and passion to be able to help inspire other people in walks of life. And if that's sports, cool. If there's other jobs that people may have and kids, I want to be able to do that by the way I play. And I definitely take it personally to be able to make sure that my body, my mind is prepared to be able to do that every night. And, and as far as where it come from, I just probably just how I grew up, my neighborhood, where I'm from. It allows me to be able to understand that it's things that's bigger than the game, and the game is just a stepping stone to be able to allow me to be able to use part of this journey. So,
Russ, I come to learn that Dylan Cardwell's locker right next to yours, maybe by design though, but just want to know, what that experience like, playing with him, knowing, how he came through as a free agent.
Yeah, man, it was fun. I love Dylan. He reminds me a lot of just myself as far as energy goes, and being able to do that. So I always challenge him to use it. He has a gift, and for some people, they may look at it and don't know what the hell's going on, or they may be like, I don't know what's wrong with this kid or what's happening. But I see it, and I see it makes sense to me. Like, this is what he does, and this is because he has a unique talent that you can't teach it, and you can't like put a finger on it or try to tame it. And I really enjoyed talking to him and enjoying that process. So my hope is that he continue to dial into that, and the rest of his game will develop, but keep dialing into that energy and effort and making sure that his mind is right.
This is a two-part question. Russ, just kind of looking back at your 18-year career, I mean, you've kind of done almost about everything in this league, right? From perennial all-star, MVP, you name it, to where you see yourself now as this vocal leader from a veteran's point of view. From someone who's just kind of done everything, and I know you previously said it's not really in your control, but what really keeps you going at this point? That's one thing. And two, do you see yourself playing another, to the 20-year milestone?
One, I think, I have a bunch of people around the world that support me my entire career. And I also have a bunch of people that don't. So I think the combination of both of those keeps me going. And most importantly, my family, because those are the ones that's been with me since day one and been in my corner, regardless of what has happened throughout my career. So that allows me to be able to keep going until I can't no more. And then as far as 20th season, like I said, man, God's willing, opportunity presents itself. I'll play until then, but I'll take it year by year, and hopefully I'm still playing in 2020, 2028, I think that is. So appreciate it.
That is Russell Westbrook after his first season with the Sacramento Kings. I say first because I'm not so sure there's not going to be a second. That sure as heck doesn't sound like somebody who's interested in hanging it up anytime soon. Russell Westbrook talking about this season and talking about his future the same way he talked about his future 3-4 years ago. Like, Russ expects to continue to play, and the question is whether or not he'll be continuing to wear a Sacramento Kings jersey. Time will tell with that. A couple things that Russ said that stood out to me. Number one, he does not want to coach, which surprises me because I think, like a lot of us feel, I think Russell Westbrook would be a phenomenal coach. I think he'd be very fun, at the very least, as a coach, whether it's a head coach, an assistant coach in some capacity. But he does not want to coach. I also think that's still because he's got playing on the mind. In Russell Westbrook's mind, he ain't done. And there's no reason to believe that Russ is done based off of the way that he played this season. Whether we want to criticize the team, and we want to criticize the wins and losses, and sometimes the shot selection or whatever. And, of course, I've had my fair share of criticisms of the way Russell Westbrook has played, the way many players have played on this Kings team this season. Ain't nothing about Russell Westbrook that says he's done or should be done. Gut feeling, as of right now, my gut feeling is that the Sacramento Kings want Russell Westbrook back. The question is, does Russell Westbrook have interest around the league? Like Russ says there, he wants to go where he's wanted. And I'd like to believe, or I do believe personally, and this is not a shot by any means, it's just, to me, common sense. If there was a team out there that was more of an established playoff team that offered the same exact amount of money as the Sacramento Kings were willing to offer for Russell Westbrook, for him to come back, I have to imagine that Russ would probably prefer that based off of where he's at in his career. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't think anybody would blame him for going that route. I think Russell Westbrook should have a job. I don't think Russell Westbrook should be a league minimum player, which is what the Kings signed him on this year because I guess there wasn't much interest elsewhere. Why the Kings signed him right before the season started at the end of training camp. But based off of his leadership, based off of there's still a gaping hole at that point guard position for the Sacramento Kings, maybe they address it in the draft. Maybe they feel a certain type of way about Devin Carter now based off of how he's played over the last month or so. But in my mind, it makes a lot of sense for Russell Westbrook to be back. I know Scott Perry loves him. I know the players in that locker room love him. A couple months ago, if you were to ask me, Matt, do you want Russell Westbrook back? The answer was pretty firmly no. Now, depending upon who the Kings go out and draft, we've talked about this before. I talked about this with Kayla. If the Sacramento Kings draft a point guard, some would say that's a reason to not bring him back. I would argue the opposite. I think if the Sacramento Kings draft a point guard, if they draft Darius Acuff Jr. or Kingston Flevings or Michael Brown Jr., I almost want Russell Westbrook to come back because I want Russell Westbrook to take that point guard. You are my protege for this next year. Follow my lead, just like Maxime Raynaud did, although Max is a center, obviously. And Russ can lead by example. So there is absolutely a fantastic argument for the Sacramento Kings bringing Russell Westbrook back. We'll just see if they can financially find out a way to do it, and if Russ has any interest from other teams around the league, which, in my opinion, I believe he should. We'll take the break. When we come back, we will hear from Zach LaVine. He already spoke at the Golden One Center. We'll hear what Zach had to say, and then we'll take the rest of the exit interviews live, beginning with DeMar DeRozan around 11 o'clock. You are listening to Matt and Kayla on Exit Interview Day, the day after the Sacramento Kings season came to an end last night in Portland. It's all right here on your home of the Kings, Sactown Sports.
Spring is here, and warmer days are right around the corner. Before the heat hits, call Brower Mechanical. Right now, when you purchase a new high-efficiency AC system, you can choose a water heater or a whole house fan for just $1. Or get your AC professionally tuned up for just $89. Don't wait until your system breaks down during the heat. Brower Mechanical, where quality meets comfort. 916-352-3113. Residential and commercial HVAC sales and service. License number 108-1055.
When a person is seriously injured, there's no substitute for the personal legal relationship offered by the local NorCal firm of Ashton & Price. From the first attorney meeting, every important decision is made with a direct consultation with, and I can't believe I have to say this, a real, live, experienced, flesh and blood local attorney. It's called Home Court Advantage for a reason. Ashton & Price, serious local attorneys for serious people with serious injuries with no fee until we win. For the best local advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
A's fans, the 2026 season is coming fast, and single game tickets are on sale now. Be there for an exciting season packed with theme days, giveaways, and firework nights, including bobbleheads, jerseys, hats, and much more. And getting in is easier than ever. Tickets start at just $8 for select April and May games. From opening day to unforgettable summer nights, there's something for everyone at the ballpark. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/tickets and be part of the excitement this 2026 season.
Tune in every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the Toyota Tahoe Report with Johnny Mosley and me, Elena, bringing you the latest weather conditions up at Tahoe. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
If you're just tuning in, sorry, you just missed Russell Westbrook speaking in his exit interviews at the end of what has been a very challenging season, to say the least, here in Sacramento. Statistically, in terms of winning percentage and win-loss records, their 22-60 overall record is the second worst in the Sacramento era history of the Kings. Just saying something, considering how talented this roster has been. Really quickly, before we get to Zach LaVine, I want to touch on two things. Number one is, I know this season's been frustrating for a lot of people. I know the commentary from yours truly hasn't always been the most fun to listen to, has been frustrating at times. I know the tanking conversation was exhausting over the last couple of months, but I want to express my appreciation to everybody, whether you agreed, disagreed, getting involved in the conversation, getting through this season together, your guys' continued support, your loyalty towards this organization, towards this station, the show. I certainly appreciate it. I know Kayla Anderson appreciates it. And by the way, Kayla will be back tomorrow after a well-deserved extended weekend vacation that she got. And I know Kayla's going to have plenty of thoughts. I know Kayla's going to have plenty of thoughts about this season, how it wrapped up, and all the comments of everybody that we are hearing from. Again, you're going to hear from Zach LaVine here in just a second, but I really quickly want to address a question from Marcus on the on our YouTube comment section. Obviously, one of the challenges of this season, for me personally, happened relatively recently. It was I don't even call it an altercation, just the post-game interaction that I had with Russell Westbrook. I've spoke about this on the air before. I'm very disappointed, unfortunately, because of the show, that I was not able to be there to be in the Golden One Center for Russ's exit interviews. And for these exit interviews, I'm usually there all the time when I was working for ABC 10. But obviously I'm here right now. So disappointed not to be there. But Marcus asked, and just to clear the air, I have had a conversation with Russ. It was not an extended conversation as much as necessarily I wanted to. We were able to chat after really the next game after the incident. We were able to talk very briefly, shook hands. He was very, very kind. He was super respectful. We never got to discuss the root of where his comments came from or what he saw or heard that I said that frustrated him in that way. But ultimately, at least on my end, it's not a story. It's not a factor. Russ has been nothing but professional towards me, and I've been frustrated, sure, at times with Russ and how this season has gone, as has everybody else. But I've also very much enjoyed at times Russell Westbrook being a member of the Sacramento Kings. And it is cool to see Russell Westbrook Kings jerseys exist. And I know a lot of you out there purchase them. So that's it's not spicy. It's not anything fun, but that's just where we left off with myself and Russ. Again, hopefully we get the opportunity to talk more in detail at some point. We never were able to find time to do that at length since that incident happened, but we did speak briefly after the incident. And again, he was very cool, very professional. There were no hard feelings. Everything was fine. Shook hands. Everything was good. So it is not a story. It is not a factor anymore. All right, now let's move on. Let's hear from Zach LaVine. This is not live. This was earlier this morning. Zach speaking with the media for his exit interview from the Golden One Center.
Oh, all right, y'all.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
What's going on?
For you, this offseason, what are you valuing the most at this stage of your career when it comes to winning, the amount of money you're making, the right situation, and all that?
I mean, where I'm at in my career is, we want to win. I'll speak for myself, obviously. It's in the year that we wanted. It's not the year that you want individually, but, you take the cards that you dealt and you keep moving forward. And I've done that throughout my career and try to continue to get better and better each year. So, you go into the offseason, reevaluate, and, you go from there.
How do you just kind of look at the future with this team and do you allow some of the what ifs, what if you'd been healthy? What if the team had been healthy? How different things can be, and how does that kind of maybe push things ahead for next year in your mind?
I think it's hard not to play what ifs. We do that a lot, especially as competitors, where you try to figure out what you could have did better, what could have went, what went wrong, what went right, and different scenarios. But, we're here where we're at right now, and, the only thing you can do, like I just told him, you can go forward, you reevaluate yourself, you reevaluate what you could do better. I think you always start there, and then you look outward and try to give you opinions and, figure out what's the next steps. But, yeah, you look back on the season and a lot of things we did wrong, a lot of things we could have corrected earlier, but we're in this situation now to where we get to try to reflect and try to better ourselves for next year.
Hey Zach, good morning. A lot of folks has been on the frustration and things and negative things that have happened this year. So just kind of from your point of view, what are some of the things that you're going to take away from this year that are most memorable, most positive, that brought you some smiles this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're having a year like we do, most of the things is negative. I think positively you can take away is some of the things that you try to correct during the year. The camaraderie, obviously, the team aspect. This team actually was a group of really good guys that really got along and never really quit. Always tried, always communicating. Everybody was pulling for each other. And everyone worked hard. There wasn't a lot of days off in here where people were just, checked out, where that could have been easy, and I've seen on other teams before. So it was good.
Zach, how's the pinky?
How's the pinky? It's good. It's getting better. I'm pretty close to being able to do everything I need to.
Zach, you do have a little bit of control over your destiny this summer.
Yeah.
Is this a place you want to stay at? Is this somewhere you can see yourself long term, or is this one of those?
Back and talk to my representatives and figure out what's the best course of action. I think that goes along with him as where what's most important to you right now, and what makes sense. And obviously having a player option is it's a good thing in my camp. So we'll go back and look at everything, look at all the scenarios, watch playoffs, and see what happens.
Yeah, Zach. What was it like, being in this situation with DeMar and Russell? I know you and DeMar are in Chicago, too, but in this particular situation, because I also noticed that those young players that deferred to you as well as they did with those two.
Yeah. No, I mean, me and D have known each other for a long time. I've been one of my best friends in the league for a while. I've known Russ for a while, and actually being able to play with him and not just see him in the off seasons was great. And seeing the accomplishments that they continue to have throughout their career, even being one of the older dudes on the team, and it still is fun to be able to see that and celebrate that with them. As a team-wise, we didn't do what we were supposed to, though. Talent-wise, you put us up against a lot of people, but we just didn't do what we were supposed to. And I think that as a collective, from top to bottom, we got to do a lot better because things could have looked a lot differently.
Zach, obviously you guys had a ton of injuries this year, but that led to opportunities for the young guys to get some real run. You got a front row seat to how they played this year. What stood out to you about how they developed throughout the year?
I actually think I was talking to you early in the season, through training camp. I was like, Max is really, really talented, very skillful. Need to continue to get better and better. And then other guys where they, were able to get their opportunities. You got to see the ups and downs and, even see some of the rookie walls, Dylan's energy and him being able to, how he can affect the game, just with, how he almost became a fan favorite in 2 days. It's cool to see people coming to their own. But I think that's what the experience is for, and getting the opportunity is, and just being able to talk to them and help them any way I was able to. It's fun, and now they get to go into the next year with experience and understand the NBA a little bit, and how can they keep making an imprint for their career and for the team.
Obviously, you want to see this team do better. Still,
I can hear you.
Okay.
You're good.
What's kind of maybe your message to the organization in terms of, obviously you have a decision to make, but like in terms of a bright future or something that makes it right for you? What are some of those things that have to be right for you?
Yeah, I think we could do a lot better job with, having a rhythm out there and figuring out the right, rotations and lineups. And, it's a season where, it was a lot of mismatch stuff, and it wasn't anybody's fault that we weren't even able to have our full roster. And I know that's tough, being able to, you just have to, you're almost playing patchwork. You're not playing with a full deck, but that's no one else really cares about that. But for me, just trying to figure out, put each other in the best situation to be, successful. Everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. You take a little bit away from the team, obviously, for, you try to be as unselfish as you can so everyone else can stand out, but you want to make sure that you're playing a role and playing in a situation where you're able to do the best you can. Seeing y'all. Yeah.
That is Zach LaVine, his exit interview from the Golden One Center. He said a couple things that I want to touch on. We'll take the break. When we come back, though, Domantas Sabonis is at the podium early. He's currently speaking, actually, right now, just wrapping up, we'll play for you what Domantas Sabonis had to say. Kyle's been listening, and he says it's pretty interesting. So I'm anxious to hear from the Sacramento Kings center, who's been out for the vast majority of this season with that partially torn meniscus. We'll hear from Domas in the next segment, also react to some of the things that Zach LaVine just said, including, did you catch there at the end, he said, we could have done a lot better with rotations and rhythm. Now, don't interpret that as a shot at Doug Christie, but it was an interesting thing to say, and honestly, it's true. We'll break down some of the things Zach had to say. We'll hear from Domantas Sabonis and more, including DeMar DeRozan, DeAndre Hunter, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, Precious Achiuwa, Maxime Raynaud. We're expected to hear from all of them in today's show. You're listening to Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Capital Casino is conveniently located in downtown, 411 16th Street, and has been a part of the greater Sacramento area for over 20 years. They offer the best variety of games in the region in a safe and friendly environment, and there's plenty of parking, all well lit and monitored by security. Come have a great meal at the cafe and restaurant inside. Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. But please always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacramento Electronic Supply Company, on the eve of America's 250th anniversary, this July 4th, salutes our greatest heroes, the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, who have dedicated and sacrificed to protect our nation through their courage and valor. This message, courtesy of Sacramento Electronic Supply Company, located at 11-4270 Sunrise Gold Circle in Rancho Cordova, serving Sacramento over 80 years. Distributors of Datacom, telecom security products, and industrial electronic parts and components.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Switchfoot Live. Friday, April 24th, 7 p.m., the venue at Thunder Valley. With Fuel. And Lit. And Thomas Ian Nicholas. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. One incredible night with Switchfoot, Fuel, and Lit together live.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sactown Sports 1140.
Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
Wrong again, voice guy. Just me. Just Matt. Kayla's wrapping up a well-deserved vacation. She will be back on the show tomorrow. Looking forward to having her back. I'm sure she'll have lots to say about the conclusion to this Kings season. Hopefully she's listening in to hear what some of the players are saying in their exit interviews today. Also knowing Kayla, she'll have some crazy story from something that happened in LA is where I believe she is. Kayla always finds her way in the weirdest of situations. So looking forward to having her back tomorrow. But it's just me today. Also, Kyle Ledbetter is doing a phenomenal job producing today. He's managing all the exit interviews and trying to make sure everything gets on the air and sounds good. And I'm also putting him to work really quickly here to get that last answer by Zach LaVine, because I don't want to completely misrepresent what he's saying there, because it definitely can be interpreted as a bit of a shot towards the Kings. Here is Zach LaVine being asked about, I guess, things that what he needs or what could be different to stick around in Sacramento. And here's what he said.
What's kind of maybe your message to the organization in terms of, obviously you have a decision to make, but like in terms of a bright future or something that makes it right for you? What are some of those things that have to be right for you?
Yeah, I think we could do a lot better job with, having a rhythm out there and figuring out the right, rotations and lineups. And, it's a season where, it was a lot of mismatch stuff, and it wasn't anybody's fault that we weren't even able to have our full roster. And I know that's tough, being able to, you just have to, you're almost playing patchwork. You're not playing with a full deck, but that's no one else really cares about that. But for me, just trying to figure out, put each other in the best situation to be, successful. Everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. You take a little bit away from the team, obviously, for, you try to be as unselfish as you can so everyone else can stand out, but you want to make sure that you're playing a role and playing in a situation where you're able to do the best you can.
So my interpretation of those comments from Zach LaVine, it doesn't sound like he felt he was used correctly. And I could argue, I think he certainly has a point. He's coming off of one of his best offensive seasons of his career, if not the best offensive season of his career in Chicago last year. Then he was traded to the Kings, of course, at the trade deadline last season. And then this year he had a letdown of a year. He was not very good, as of course the Kings weren't very good. Then he was sidelined by all the injuries and stuff that he dealt with. So I'm not going to go as far as to radio this up and shock jock this up and go, he's taking a shot at Doug Christie there. I don't think that was his intention. You heard him as soon as he said it kind of back off a little bit and mention, hey, there's injuries. I know it's patchwork and it's been difficult. But, Zach is in my opinion, or just my interpretation of that, very much saying like we need to do a better job putting our players in the best position to succeed, or our rotations could have been better, our fit could have been better. And I agree with him, because this roster, the construction of this roster was not good, and it's not been good. I talked about that a lot at the beginning of the show. Talked about that a lot over the last year and some change. And the Kings definitely didn't do as good of a job. Doug Christie definitely didn't do as good of a job of finding the optimal way for this team to play together when the veterans were healthy and were playing. Doug did find a good optimal way of getting this team to play to the quote-unquote standard or Kings basketball towards the end of the season, when Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis and the veterans weren't playing, other than Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan, because of injuries. So, interpret that or take that for what you will. But those are some interesting comments towards Zach LaVine, and I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are with that. Zach also pointed out what we've pretty much known, like the team got along great. They never really quit. They were always pulling for each other. That was obvious in covering this team this year, which I certainly can appreciate. And everybody, from the coaches to the coaching staff to the front office staff, and of course the players, all deserve credit for staying together through the frustrations of this season. And then, of course, he talked about his future. He said he has a lot of control, and he'll look for, quote, the best course of action for him going forward. Zach, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say the best course of action would probably be not walking away from almost a $50 million payday.
I don't think I make too much money. I think I get paid more.
Well, I disagree with that, Zach. But you are more than likely, Zach's more than likely going to pick up his player option, which he should. And the Sacramento Kings will have to figure out how to deal with that. And at some point today, in the midst of the exit interviews, we'll talk about, and if we can't get to it today, well, of course, we'll talk about it this week and beyond. Scott Perry has a massive offseason ahead of him. Critical decisions to be made financially. He's already in a tough spot. And Zach LaVine's contract certainly not going to help with that. Are the Kings stuck with Zach LaVine? Well, it's a harsh way to put it, but it might be true. Yeah, we'll talk about that as this offseason really gets going. But right now, let's hear from someone who we haven't seen in quite some time. Domantas Sabonis was in and out of the lineup this year with injuries. He had the partially torn meniscus that he tried to come back and play on, and then ultimately had season-ending surgery. He's been away from the team, recovering in Napa, and his home in Napa. He's been around a little bit more as of late. Well, here he is from the Golden One Center, his exit interviews. And Kyle Ledbetter says some interesting comments from Domas. Let's hear from him.
It's been tough. It's definitely been a really tough season for me personally. Not being out there with the guys or being a part of this season is definitely new for me. It started rough. I missed the first game, and then my second game here at home against the Lakers, that's when this injury happened. And I tried to play through it until it got to a point where it was either rehab or surgery. You guys know me. I decided to do rehab and, try and get back to be out there with the guys. And ultimately it led to 6 more games and then going for surgery, So definitely sad I couldn't be a part of it and not help in any way I could. But on the bright side, surgery went great. Doctor was very pleased. Basically, we'll have a better knee than I did before. So I'm very happy to hear that. And rehab's going really good. My Wolverine healing powers have started to kick in, and I feel like I'm ahead of schedule, and I'm just really excited for next season, even though this one just finished. I'll be ready for the start of next season and play at the All-NBA level that everyone here in Sacramento has been used to seeing me play at. And yeah, I'm going to work out really hard and be ready.
In years past, you might have had an idea of what the future looked like here. Does this one, as you step into your future, at least in terms of a player as a King, does it feel like you know what that looks like beyond this summer, or is there a lot of uncertainty for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know what that feels like, but I can control what I control, and is getting back to that All-NBA player that I know I can be.
Hey, Domas. What went into the decision to wait and to not have surgery immediately? And at what point did you just go, oh man, this isn't healing?
Because I love basketball. I love being here with the team, the fans, the city, playing in front of them. It just brings me so much joy. And you guys know me. I've played through many injuries and tried to play through them. I've done it before, thought I could do it again. But this time, right before All-Star break, I went in to check in and see what else I could do to finish the season. And they basically said, if you're coming here again in that short period of time, it's best you fix it or something worse can happen.
And when you're sitting there watching, how much joy did you get from watching Dylan and watching Max take these leaps and bounds throughout the season?
A lot of joy, especially last game. That was a lot of fun. The last home game, they're thriving. They're taking advantage of the opportunity. They're great human beings, first of all, and it's showing on the court.
Domas, just actually picking up off that, when you see the young guys just flourishing and, you see them starting to develop and their progression coming along the way it has, how much, is that enticing for you to, want to get back out there? I know you say you love basketball, but does that add any extra motivation or incentive when you see the guys rocking like that to get out there and kind of play with them, especially looking for next
for sure. Year? They're playing great. They're moving the ball. They're playing two bigs. It's something I thought I was going to do this year, but didn't have the chance. So that's all very exciting. They're playing the right way, and you can see the progress throughout the year. So I only expect bigger things for them next year.
Obviously, Doug took over last season, got some good run there, but first full year under him, first year under Scott as well. What's your impressions of the job they did this year? How much faith do you have in them to continue trending this upwards going forward?
Great job. There was a lot of things thrown at them this year, especially Doug as a first-time official head coach, and he managed it the best way he could, and all the guys are bought in. They listen to him, and I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, Domas. Zach LaVine did, allude to it a little bit, though, as far as, the veterans wasn't able to do what they wanted to do. So I know that's a disappointment. How disappointing was it for you because you wasn't able to, to step on the floor with Keegan for one thing and things like that? So how much of a disappointment was it for you?
All I want to do is be on the court, and the fact that I wasn't able to do that and be a part of it. And just like you said, I didn't even get to play with Keegan, so that's definitely sad. We definitely have a great two-man connection game right there, and we definitely worked on things last summer to try and use it, but things happen.
Domas, who have you leaned on during this rehab process?
I feel like everyone, the vets, Scott's been great. It's my first time being out for so long, I feel like there's a lot of benefits, being out and really paying attention and dissecting the game. And there's a lot of things I've learned where if I was playing, I wouldn't have seen from the outside. So using that this summer will definitely help.
The NBA is a business, nothing new with that. Your name's been floated out as a trade possibility during the trade deadline, then heading into the summer. How do you navigate that?
Just treat it like I have, every year since I got in the NBA. I always want to get better as a player, and no matter where I am, but I'm very happy here. You all know that. And things like this, you just got to focus on my knee, my rehab, getting back to the player I am.
Domas, obviously, once you got hurt, you're locked in on your rehab and everything, but were you able to monitor Max much and see his progress? And if so, what did you see from him this year?
Yeah, he's been great. His aggressiveness, learning how to play in different situations. At first he was a lot of pick and roll with Russ in the beginning, and then you see him on the 3-point line shooting, pump faking, driving, making plays. So that's the growth you want to see. He's proved that he can be an impact in all different areas on the court.
Good morning, Domas. This time last year, you said the team needed a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said in the offseason. I'm curious, besides health, what's your assessment of what the team needs going into the summer?
It's hard this year because, like you said, there's a lot of noise going on and no one really knows what's going to happen. We'll obviously have a high draft pick, so that also comes into play, and we trust Scott to do the right thing.
You mentioned some of that noise. If fans, media, if they have a vision of your team that doesn't necessarily reflect maybe the optimism that you have for your future, what is maybe one thing or two things that you see that maybe they're missing?
The team?
Yeah, just overall in terms of maybe the future with the organization.
It's hard to tell because, like you said, the whole team hasn't played together all year. Even Hunter, we got him at the deadline. He played 2 games before he got injured. We have so many pieces that we've been missing, wings, tall defenders, like everyone's wanted, but we haven't played together. So it's tough to evaluate because you have now some pieces that you could use, but we haven't seen it on the court.
Hi, Domas. You mentioned that there were some benefits that you took away back here.
Oh, hi.
You took away from being sidelined. I'd be curious to know what those benefits are, and what did you learn from being sidelined for majority of the season?
Just how the game evolves and changes every year. There's different trends that go around, and how bigs are playing or how bigs are guarding, other stars emerging into the league, and how I would have to play against them once I step back on the court. So, all these little things that it gave me time to watch other games too and really learn. So, I have a little notepad that I write things down, and then go back in summer and really focus on those things.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That is Sacramento Kings center Domantas Sabonis from the Golden One Center, his exit interview today. Yes, Sabonis is still part of a team. Feel like, do you ever get to a point where it's like how Domantas Sabonis plays? Because we've seen him play plenty here in Sacramento over the last handful of years, but did it dawn on anybody over the last couple of months, God, I low-key forget what it's like to have Domas. I low-key forget what it's like to have Keegan or Zach LaVine, right? It feels like it's been forever since these guys have played. And there's a good chance that a good chunk of them will still be on the Sacramento Kings come next season. Domantas Sabonis is one of those really interesting cases because, well, he's paid a lot of money. Unfortunately, he is considered to have one of the worst contracts in the NBA. That the Kings, their old regime, gave him. Well, the Kings really have 2 of the worst contracts in the NBA if you include the almost $50 million player option that I believe Zach LaVine is going to, pick up. So the question is, are the Kings stuck with Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis, who between the two of them will make almost $100 million? The answer is probably. With Domas, I do believe there's interest in trades for Domas that the Kings can explore this summer. Probably significantly more than interest in Zach LaVine, even though Zach is an expiring deal. However, as we saw with the trade deadline and the communications of the trade negotiations with both the Washington Wizards and more predominantly the Toronto Raptors, the Kings are not willing to just give Domantas Sabonis away for pennies or take on bad contracts in order for a team to take on his without proper, specifically draft pick compensation. So I don't know. I don't know if Domantas Sabonis is going to be able to be moved by the Kings this summer, because I don't know if the Kings are going to get what they feel is even proper value for him. So we'll have to see with that, because if you were to ask me right now, Matt, what are the percentage chances in your mind of Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine both being back on the Sacramento Kings next season? I'd say like 80+%. But that's a gut feeling, just based off of the way last offseason went, the way this trade deadline went, and simply how much money both of those guys are making. It's a lot of money. One of the main reasons that Scott Perry's got a lot of cap work to do and financial work to do this summer. We'll get into that more at some point. Talk about financially where the Kings are estimated to be, because y'all, it ain't good. It is not good. Some of the things Domas said there that stood out to me, and in the next segment, we're going to hear from DeMar DeRozan from his exit interview. But some of the things that Domas said, he talked about him trying to work through that partially torn meniscus injury, and he said he tried to play through it and basically got to an ultimatum. You can either rehab it and try and play through, or you can get season-ending surgery. Well, Domas said, well, you know me, I'm going to try and play, so he took the rehab route. And then he came back, played 6 games, and got it was still bothering him, ultimately to the point where he had to end up having surgery. So I admire Domantas Sabonis for trying to work through it, trying to play through it. That's who Domantas Sabonis has always been. I believe that 100%. That's who he's been his entire time here in Sacramento. If he has an injury and he has a chance to play through it, he's going to try and play through it. He tried it. It didn't work out. They shut him down. What he said that I guess is a little encouraging, he said, quote, I will have a better knee than I did before. He also feels that he's ahead of schedule in his rehab. So it sounds like, assuming Domantas Sabonis is back with the Sacramento Kings, he'll be more than ready to go in training camp. That's good in the sense of if there are trade talks out there for Domas, a team can acquire Domas without the fear of that injury having a very negative effect on his production. So that's encouraging. So the injury really shouldn't be much of a conversation point this summer, and that's always a good thing. Domas talked about he was excited to get to play in 2 big man lineups. And when we did see him come back for that 6-game stretch, we actually saw him playing more with Dylan Cardwell than we did with Maxime Raynaud, although he got very limited time with both of those guys. And he said that was something that he was excited to do, that he didn't get to do, that he's looking forward to doing in the future. And assuming Dylan Cardwell and Maxime Raynaud are still around, which why wouldn't they be? If Domas remains a Sacramento King, the Kings are going to have to explore that, because all 3 of them are too good to not play. You got to find time for them to at least overlap and play together. And again, we saw more of, when Domas did play, we saw more of him with Dylan Cardwell, because I think the Kings liked the fact that Dylan Cardwell provided some of that rim protection that Domas lacks, took some of that defensive responsibility off the shoulders of Domantas Sabonis. I have question marks about the spacing on offense and how that would work, but in a short sample size, it wasn't bad necessarily. So yeah, I like Domas. I'm very curious and excited about the 2 big men lineups in the future that maybe we'll see more during training camp. And then I thought it was interesting. He was asked, I think Jake Gaden of CBS 13 asked him about like who he leaned on to help him get through this challenging year with all the injuries and stuff. And he talked about leaning on the veterans, but the only person he mentioned by name was Scott Perry. Did you guys catch that? He talked about like he got close with Scott, talked to Scott a lot through this situation. I can imagine having a good relationship with your general manager when you're going through the unknowns of a season like this and you're watching your young replacements potentially play a lot and excel, and you're hearing your name brought up in trade rumors. I imagine that's not the most comfortable position, but Domas brought up Scott Perry directly by name. Thought that was interesting. Encouraging, too. We'll take the break. When we come back, let's hear from DeMar DeRozan. Last season was a disaster, an S show, in the words of DeMar DeRozan. I think this season, even though the record is worse, was a lot different in his eyes. We'll hear his thoughts on how this season went. Plus, we'll hear from Malik Monk and more coming up later on in the show. It's exit interview day inside the Golden One Center, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings. It's Sactown Sports.
When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold has increased in value by over 12,000%. Central banks are buying gold at record levels. Major firms are holding significant positions in gold. And I choose to buy gold from Birch Gold Group. Stan Bongino, and it all starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase if you qualify. And you can get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But act now. This special event only runs through April 30th. So text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Dan to 989898 today. Message and data rates may apply.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert. John Party. Chris Young, Turnpike Troubadours, Dylan Scott, and more. Line dancing, live DJs, mechanical bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. Country in the Park, May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with N&S Tractor and Case Construction and Courtyard by Marriott Sacramento Cal Expo. More info at CITVFest.com.
Spring is here, and warmer days are right around the corner. Before the heat hits, call Brower Mechanical. Right now, when you purchase a new high-efficiency AC system, you can choose a water heater or a whole house fan for just $1, or get your AC professionally tuned up for just $89. Don't wait until your system breaks down during the heat. Brower Mechanical, where quality meets comfort. 916-352-3113. Residential and commercial HVAC sales and service. License number 108-1055.
Your business moves fast. Your bank should keep up. At Valley Strong Credit Union, business banking is built for momentum with tools that help you manage cash flow, streamline payments, and fuel growth. Right now, there's never been a better time to switch. Open a new Valley Strong business account and get 3 months of business banking products and services free, up to $750 in value to power your next big move. Because when your business runs stronger, the whole Valley does too. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your business, grow your future at valleystrong.com/business.
Capital Casino is conveniently located in downtown, 411 16th Street, and has been a part of the greater Sacramento area for over 20 years. They offer the best variety of games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. And there's plenty of parking, all well lit and monitored by security. Come have a great meal at the cafe and restaurant inside. Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. But please always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
To 15-year-old Harper, buying an $80 vintage rock t-shirt is a great investment. To Harper's mom, this logic has a few holes in it. So she helped Harper open a Wells Fargo Clear Access banking account. With no overdraft fees and tools to track spending, Harper's learning, one heavy metal tee at a time. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Terms apply. Visit wellsfargo.com/deposit disclosures for fees and details.
A.m. to 2 p.m. Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
Fitting instrumentals. We're set to hear from DeMar DeRozan here in just a second from the Golden One Center. It's Kings exit interview day. Sacramento Kings season came to an end last night in Portland, Oregon, a loss to the Trailblazers. That was a meaningful game for the Trailblazers. Because of that game, they end up in the much better 7-8 play-in game instead of the 8-9 play-in game, which is a significant difference. As for the Kings, they fell to 22-60 on the season, which is statistically their second worst season in the history, the Sac era history of the Kings. Well, even so, even if the record was better this season than it was last season, knowing how the locker room was, how close these guys were, I have a feeling in DeMar DeRozan's eyes, this was a significantly better season than last season was, with all the drama, the firing of Mike Brown, the trade of De'Aaron Fox, and how at times divided that locker room was based off of everything that was happening. Let's hear from DeMar DeRozan after his second full season and potentially his last season as the Sacramento King.
Hey, DeMar, I know you haven't had much time to reflect, but what has this season meant to you as you've moved up? I think it's from 25 all the way up to 16 on the all-time scoring list.
I mean, from that accomplishment, I mean, it's amazing when you pass anybody in this league doing anything. You know, it's an honor, something I'll never take for granted, just being able to play this game. Not many people get to play 17 plus years in this league, and be able to do that is beyond the honor. Everything else that come with it is, you know, remarkable. You know, me being able to pass anybody is definitely crazy. I'm pretty sure when I look back on it, you know, it'll mean a lot more. You know, I wish the wins came with it, but it didn't. But like I said, to be able to, you know, accomplish anything in this league is incredible.
You mentioned the other day about internally how tough the season's been for some of you guys in that locker room, and I'm curious, you kind of had a similar message or description of what last year was like. If you were to compare and contrast, like which one has been harder?
This one.
This one?
Yeah, this one for sure. It's tough, man. You know, so many guys out. We started out the season without a key guy. Another key guy dropped. You know, it was like thing after thing after thing, trying to make adjustments in the midst of, you know, feeling like you sinking in a deep hole by losing, you know, games, frustration, you know, so many emotions. You know, definitely was a lot going on.
I know people kind of, you know, you might poll all 15 of you guys in the locker room and might have different observations and feelings towards that. But for you, just does that take away just any of, I guess, the outlook you had on Sacramento, your time here, and maybe what could exist for the future?
No, I don't take none away, because at the end of the day, to still be able to have this opportunity, you know, to play, you know, you can never take that for granted, you know. So I don't ever take it away. I think from my competitive standpoint, you want to win, you want to compete, you want to give back to the fans, you want to give that passion and joy back to the fans, represent this city, this organization at a high level. You know, you want to win. It just didn't happen that way, but everything else, you know, it don't take away from anything.
See, but when you look at this stage in your career, what are you valuing the most as you are in the latter half of your career and winning, if it's more important than money, situation, whatever it may be? What is the most important thing to you?
Most important part is still being able to play basketball, to play the game that you love. Then with that is, you know, reaping everything that comes with it. And from that standpoint, you want to win. You know, we play this game to win, to get to a point to where, you know, winning and the love of the game is the only thing that matters for me. You know, and so me being able to still play, have that passion, you know, now it's about being in a position just to want to compete and win. You know, that's all that's on my mind.
And then you've had an illustrious career, played with a lot of great guys. So I asked Russ the same question that I'll ask you. What was it like playing with Westbrook this year and finally being on the same team as him?
And he said something about me?
Yeah, he said
Did he say something nice? Because that depends on what I said.
A lot of great things.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm going to try to top it. Nah, man, Russ is honestly is a great friend of mine, man. You know, basically family. You know, we came from the same place, same type of upbringing. You know, as kids, man, we had a dream to represent where we come from at a high level. And if you was to ask us when we was young, we'd be in this position in our careers, accomplish things that we accomplished, I guarantee you, we wouldn't believe it. You know, so to be here, you know, from a friend, to watch his career, and now be able to play with him, one of my favorite highlights of my career, you know, playing with an all-time great, man, knowing where he come from, knowing his family, seeing him, you know, become a father, you know, everything, man. It's amazing to be able to sit next to, you know, somebody where you know exactly where he come from, you know, and to see how much we accomplished, man. It's amazing, man. I appreciate him more than, you know, he will ever know. You know, that's you know, if he get in a fight with 10 elephants, I'm fighting with him. So that's my dog.
Actually, I got two questions. DeMar, it's been widely reported, well, by the Athletic, that, Doug Christie will be returning as the head coach. I just want to get your thoughts on you working with him in his first full head coaching job.
I don't know if a lot of people don't know. I've known Doug since I was probably 20 years old. Got a chance to meet him long time ago. And even when I came here, having the opportunity to work with him my whole summer before I came to Sac, the love and appreciation and respect I got for Doug, man, is through the roof. I told Doug, when he got the job, every time I go out there and play, I want to, leave it all out there on the floor for him. So I'm always happy for him, regardless. I want the best for him. I want him to strive and be very successful in this business of basketball when it comes to being a head coach. So, that's what it is. That's what it is.
And I think we had this conversation before about him talking to you guys as far as the veterans, and helping the development of these of the younger players, and how did that go, and how do you feel about that he could depend on you, to do that part of your job?
It was just the trust and the respect that he has for us as well. We went out there and compete for him, and at the same time, we know we had the young guys right next to us, and try to give them as much as we could as possible. Knowledge, work with them, help them, gain as much experience as possible. So for him asking us and trusting us to do that, we was going to do it anyway. But, just the respect that we have for, Doug, one as our head coach, but him as a former player, him understanding how much we could give to these young guys, we try to do our best with that.
Devo, I know, you can always work on something of your game, but for someone whose game is so refined in things that you do, when you go into the offseason, is there anything that you kind of look back on this season that you may want to improve, or what is it for you?
I'm sure whenever I decide to get back in the gym, whatever, I'm pretty sure I'll try to find something to tell you what. I don't know. Even if I knew what, I probably wouldn't say. But I think I definitely would look for any type of flaws or anything I could tighten up on and, be better. My whole goal since I've been in the league is try to find different ways to come back and be better. Even if it's a little better at one thing, I try to come back and be better at that. So, we'll see.
And just to follow up, I know every player is a little bit different, but after a long season like this, how long is it till you're back in the gym putting shots up? Is it immediately? Is it a week, a month? How long is it for you?
It's hard to say, because I go home next 2-3 days, I get upset and want to start back working out. So it's hard to say. My own stubbornness, some will kick in over the next few days. So, I feel great physically. So who knows? We'll see.
DeMar, it was great seeing the vets supporting the young guys down the stretch when you guys weren't playing, but I'm curious, how much did the young guys push you and help you guys down the stretch with the energy and making things a little bit more interesting?
The excitement being around young guys, seeing them walk into training camp the first day, seeing how tired they are the second day, the third day, seeing them hit all sorts of type of rookie walls. Seeing them complain about the first long road, grow just a little, and see them get better at something that you told them 2 months prior, and they do something that you told them, it brings a different type of excitement, when they do it in a game, or when they learn something, or when they ask the right questions. That excitement, give us the energy that we need. Makes things fun, you got to find things like that throughout the season, especially a tough season where you can lean on and kind of build off that for self and, for them as well, so they made it fun. They made it exciting. A lot of funny jokes came from, our group chats, teasing the young guys, and, they keep us going. They keep us young.
Can't share any of the jokes?
Nah, they too explicit, man.
Obviously, injuries played a big part of this year, but what's your optimism that you guys could bounce back next season? And from your perspective, what are the keys to doing so?
Yeah, I'm always optimistic with every walk of life that I go through. What needs to be done. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's hard to just pinpoint it at one thing. With a tough season like this, it's a lot to evaluate. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot to figure out. A lot of pieces and things that need to be, put in the right position to make, some work to be successful. So, do I have all those answers? I don't. I just try to go out there, prepare myself as best as I can, and be ready for whatever happens next.
Any question marks or concerns on your end
About
the future and whether or not this team can?
Yeah, I try not to think that way. I drive myself crazy. I just try to worry about day by day. Like I said, I try to control whatever I could control and be ready for whatever's, to come next, whatever that is. But I'm going to be ready for whatever it is, so appreciate y'all. Yep.
There's a reason why DeMar DeRozan is a spokesperson in the NBA and really in professional sports for mental health, right? There's a reason why he wrote his book about his journey and the mental health aspect of things. It's because his approach is refreshing. We could all learn a thing or two about how to mentally handle the challenges that life throws at us from DeMar DeRozan. A lot of stuff that he said there that I really, really liked, really enjoyed. Love to hear his glowing words for Doug Christie. Talked about when they met when he was 20. I believe they overlapped as players, teammates in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to look that up. Loved him talking about watching the young guys grow up, watching them complain about road trips or the schedule or order chicken nuggets on the road because they didn't know what to eat. Love that from DeMar. I do wish we could see the group chat. I'm curious what those jokes were because you know Russ and DeMar had their fun in the group chat when poking fun at the rookies. But I love how DeMar summarized it. He said, watching the young guys grow up brings a different type of excitement, right? It's like a parental excitement in a way. Now I'm putting words in his mouth. I'm applying to how it makes sense to me, right? Like being a dad. I have a 4-year-old son. Watching him discover things. He's now into t-ball. Watching him play baseball and t-ball for the first time and watching him discover things. It's just a different type of excitement that only you just have to experience it. And I imagine DeMar, who's also a father, of course, passing on all your wisdom and all your success in the NBA and watching Max and Dylan and Neek and Devin and these young guys take that, learn from that, ask the right questions, grow, improve. You teach them something at the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, they're doing it by themselves without having to being taught. I imagine there is a gratification to that. I can't imagine how much fun that must be as a veteran or as a coach. So it was cool to hear DeMar talk about that. It's very clear from DeMar's comments he wants to keep playing. He's under contract next year, although it's partially guaranteed, but he is, of course, under contract next year. And he clearly wants to win. It's my belief that the Sacramento Kings and DeMar DeRozan should mutually agree to part ways. The Kings financially need to move on from some money, and DeMar DeRozan deserves to play more meaningful, impactful basketball. If he remains a Sacramento King, I know he's going to play hard here, and I know he's going to continue to pour into the young guys that are here, whichever new rookie comes across the stage on draft night. New rookies, including the second-round picks, and maybe the Kings get a little frisky and try and move into the first round again. DeMar's going to do, if that's his job next season, he'll do that job. But for DeMar's sake, I hope he's playing more meaningful basketball than he's gotten to play over the last couple of seasons here in Sacramento to end his career. I did find it interesting that DeMar talked about this season being harder than last, but the question was very basketball-centric. Like this season, basketball-wise and injury-wise, was harder than last season's in the eyes of DeMar DeRozan. And if I was there, I would have wanted to ask a follow-up question, but internally it wasn't bad, right? Because remember, going back to training camp, DeMar DeRozan's first interaction with us as media was him saying last season was an S show because of everything that went down. I remember DeMar DeRozan's exit interview last year. He talked about he ain't never experienced anything like what he experienced in Sacramento last year. So I imagine in that sense this season was significantly better. But basketball-wise, losing games, long losing streaks, injuries galore. I imagine that part was more challenging, like DeMar specifically talked about. We'll take the break. When we come back, one of the newest Sacramento Kings, DeAndre Hunter, spoke with the media briefly. We'll hear from DeAndre, react to what he had to say. I personally feel DeAndre Hunter will remain a Sacramento King this offseason going into next year because we never really got a good look at who he is. Of course, the Kings acquired him at the trade deadline. We'll hear from DeAndre Hunter, and we'll hear at noon from Malik Monk. We're waiting to hear from more Sacramento Kings as the day goes on, including Precious Achiuwa and Keegan Murray, plus the rookies, Maxime Raynaud, Nick Clifford. Hopefully we'll hear from them before we pass the torch over to the Drive guys. The Kings season is over with, but the offseason is just getting started, and we'll have full coverage for you all summer long right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings, Sactown Sports.
When your check engine light comes on, do you see a repair bill or do you see peace of mind? For 20 years, CarShield's been the name America trusts to help keep you on the road. While other companies stop covering you when your car gets older, CarShield offers protection plans up to 200,000 miles. With over $1 billion in claims paid, we don't just promise protection, we deliver it. Don't let a breakdown break your budget. Get the flexible month-to-month coverage you deserve. Go to carshield.com. That's carshield.com today.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Russell Peters, Relax World Tour.
I go, my parents are from India. She goes, oh, India. See, I knew India. Indian people, you have a big eyes and long eyelash like a cow. Wow, 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 wow.
Saturday, April 18th, 8 p.m., the venue at Thunder Valley.
Wow, 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 wow. I didn't know what to do. I just tipped her and thank you, bye-bye, and I left.
For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Russell Peters, Relax World Tour.
It's no secret the world feels unpredictable lately. One thing will never change. Hoblet's mission to nuke high prices. Right now, and only at Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland, you can get 4.99% financing for up to 84 months on all new vehicles in stock and keep every factory rebate you qualify for when you finance with Hoblet's preferred lender. That's 4.99% financing, and you keep all the factory rebates you qualify for. Not one or the other like other dealers are offering. Only Hoblet has fought to get you a deal this good. Search, select, and save through our whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection, and now unbeatable interest rates. Nobody beats Hoblet. Period.
4.99% APR available on select new vehicles in stock while supplies last. Pricing and savings may vary by model and trim. Financing on approved credit through Hoblet Preferred Lending for well-qualified buyers. $60,000 max finance, approximately $14.14 per thousand finance. Residency restrictions and lender membership requirements may apply. See dealer for details.
Sacramento! Now you've got a place for all things dance.
The all-new Energy 100.5 HD2.
Where dance music lives. Dance vibes anytime and any place when you get the free Now 100.5 app.
Or listen at 100.5 HD2.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
You know, there really is truly a relief that this season is over. But I'm also, I don't know how to explain it. It's going to be sappy. This is going to be lame. I just have such an appreciation, and I always feel like this at the end of every season, no matter how the season went. It's just such an appreciation for what we get to do. And I know this season was tough. And I know there are not always fun interactions between media and the players, myself and some of the players, and the commentary on the shows weren't always happy. But I give this team, I give that locker room so much credit for how this season could have gone. Follow me for a second here. If I were to have told you that the Kings would be 22-60, second worst record in the Sac era history, and everybody in that locker room didn't like each other, didn't see eye to eye, the veterans and the young guys were split, there was frustrations with Doug Christie as head coach, would that be surprising to anybody? No, because you can imagine the frustrations of losing can seep into weaker locker rooms. But that was not a weak locker room. Y'all, every single time I was in that locker room or around those players, when I got the privilege to be around those players or in that locker room, they were together. And there's a big difference. You know, it was funny. One of my favorite movies of all time, because I'm an A's fan, is Moneyball. And Carmichael Dave was talking about that this morning on his show, because I guess he watched that on the plane back here to Sacramento. And there's a scene in Moneyball where Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, goes into the locker room after an A's loss, and everybody's dancing. Like Jeremy Giambi is up on the table dancing, and I'm pretty sure Billy Beane like destroys the boombox and then yells at everybody like, "What the hell are we celebrating for? Do we like losing?" And like, there's a very big difference between a locker room of everybody getting along while losing because they don't care and are just like, well, we're just going to BS, and a locker room that stays together despite the losing and is committed to improving. That's what this Sacramento Kings locker room was. And I give them a tremendous amount of credit for it. So this season sucked, y'all. It was rough. I'm glad it's over. I'm very much looking forward to this offseason. I'm nervous as hell going into the draft lottery. But I give this locker room a tremendous amount of credit for how they stayed together despite all of the turmoil that they faced, all the outside noise, and all the frustrations, whether it be injuries, losing, whatever. They stayed together. And they all deserve credit for that. So I wanted to make sure I expressed my appreciation for that. Let's hear from one of the newest Sacramento Kings. The Kings acquired DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline, and I remember thinking, I cannot wait to see DeAndre Hunter and Keegan Murray play together. What does that look like? Well, we never freaking saw it. Damn it.
And then you broke stuff in your house.
And then I was very frustrated when we never saw it. But I'm still curious about that, and maybe that's a reason to keep those two around this summer. We'll see what Scott decides to do with the two of them. DeAndre Hunter, poor guy, had his eye scratched. But he spoke with the media today. He could see the media, thank God, and apparently, I'm already seeing on social media, and we'll hear him talk about it here, apparently DeAndre Hunter has been cleared to return to basketball activities, which is great to hear. Let's hear it directly from DeAndre Hunter at the Golden One Center today.
DeAndre, how much is this sort of a lost opportunity for you to really kind of figure out this team with the eye injury and all that stuff this season?
I think it's a lost opportunity only on the court. I still had a chance to, bond with the guys in the locker room. And, when you're on the bench, you get to, really watch. And so I got a lot of time basically to watch film on the guys and, see what they, like to do and see, what guys are good at and not. So obviously I didn't get to play, but I think I still got a good feel for, the team and how it operates.
I got to think that injury was pretty scary going through all that. Just how was it for your standpoint, and where are you at today, and I guess what the future could hold for it?
It definitely was scary. I never had an eye injury to this extent. Just practically not being able to see for a few weeks definitely was tough, but I think I made a full recovery. Got cleared a few days ago, so I can, resume basketball activity. So I think I made a, complete and successful recovery.
And you mentioned just the, trying to get to know your teammates as much as possible. Where do you feel like you were able to kind of do that? I mean, obviously so many guys weren't able to play down the stretch, and there's always going to be maybe that question mark of what you guys could look like on the court, but kind of making those investments off the court for what the future could be for you guys.
I think bonding off the court, it bleeds to on the court as well. So just getting to know the person, off the basketball court, I think that helps. And like I said, watching film and, a lot of guys' games are, what they're going to be. So a lot of things won't usually change from year to year too much. So just seeing how they are now, seeing how they were on film and against other teams before I got here, it kind of said a lot. So I kind of can use that for next year.
So no goggles going into next year?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna see. It's a 50-50 thing right now.
To building off what you were just talking about, getting the impression of this team, how successful do you think you guys could be next year, and what, where do you get optimism when it comes to this group and the collection of talent that you guys have?
Obviously, I say we'll be, we could be really successful. Guys put the work in, guys come back with the, winning mentality. And, I think we just kind of got to flush this year. It is what it is. Didn't have a great year, but we just got to, look forward to the future and, try to build something, if not that year, then the next year, that we could just keep building on.
What does your offseason look like now, specifically with being cleared? Like, do you hit it a little harder since you didn't play as much as you wanted this year? And is it in Sacramento? Where do you plan on doing everything this offseason?
Yeah, definitely it'll be a, quicker off season. I usually kind of take a break after the season if I play, but probably not so much this year. So yeah, a lot of it would be probably here in Los Angeles, I would say.
DeAndre, just following up on that question, you said you were watching film of your teammates. Is there anything this summer that you plan to add into your game or tweak to better fit with them?
Not necessarily add, but just kind of, sharpening the things that I already do. I think being more of a leader as I can, vocally and things like that, I think that's something I'll focus on. But, as far as basketball, I've been playing it for a while, so I'm just kind of sharpening, the skills that I do already have. Thank you.
That is DeAndre Hunter, one of the newest Sacramento Kings, who the Kings acquired at the trade deadline. They got him from the Cleveland Cavaliers as part of the trade of Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. I'm still so curious about DeAndre Hunter. We got barely anything at all of DeAndre Hunter this season. I'm actually actively looking up right now how many games he actually played for the Sacramento Kings. I'm guessing off the top of my head, like 6.
No, I think it was 2.
2? It was only 2?
I think it was 2.
God dang.
Because he had the one they were on the road, and then he played one at Golden One Center,
and
that was when the eye
scratched.
Yeah.
He played 25.5 minutes a game. Well, let's just go totals here. Why not? He played a grand total of 51 minutes for the Kings. Scored 15 points over those 51 minutes. Shot 2 of 9, 22% from three-point range. We don't like that. I'm very curious.
What could you do in 51 minutes?
Foul out multiple times, if it were me. Travel, probably.
I just meant 51 minutes in general.
What could I do in 51 minutes? Ooh.
Like 51 minutes of your life. I mean, it's not even a movie.
Take a killer nap.
Yeah, that's true.
Get a good TV show episode in.
You could make a delicious meal in more time than DeAndre Hunter saw the floor.
Yeah, but taking a long time to cook sucks.
It's not a long time. It's 55 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long time to cook when I'm hungry. 5 minutes is a long time to cook when I'm hungry. Never cook when you're hungry. DeAndre Hunter makes $20 million next year. So in the final year of his contract. The Kings are going to go in an offseason. We'll talk about it at some point. If we have time today, great. We still have to hear from Malik Monk. We're going to hear from Precious Achiuwa later on. The exit interviews are, I'm told, going to resume around 12:30. That's when Precious will come up. We'll hear from Malik Monk here in just a second. Or in the next segment, excuse me. With DeAndre Hunter, though, I don't think the Kings are opposed to moving him necessarily if they have to or if they can get something of value for him, but I don't think they want to. I think Scott Perry very much likes DeAndre Hunter, and that's one of the reasons why he ultimately ended up acquiring him for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. And I think the unknown of, very similar to the 2 big lineup with Domantas Sabonis and either Max or Dylan or both, the unknown of what do Keegan Murray and DeAndre Hunter look like as a wing front court rotation. I still think that's very enticing. I'm very curious about that. And I think they're both going to remain Sacramento Kings, and we'll start to get glimpses of that in training camp and beyond. Of course, if the Kings go out and draft another wing, I don't know, like an AJ Domantas maybe, or a Caleb Wilson, just to name a couple names that I would really, really like. I'm very curious about what a three-man rotation between the three of them could look like. And finally add some size and some length and athleticism on the perimeter the Kings have desperately needed. So I think DeAndre Hunter will remain a Sacramento King. I'm still very curious about what he can bring. And I'm glad, like he said there, he used his offseason he used his injury time this season to, at the very least, build bonds with some of his teammates. We'll take the break. When we come back, Malik Monk, fan favorite, Sacramento King. I love talking with Malik Monk. I love hearing from Malik Monk. And I don't know if Malik Monk will play another game as a Sacramento King. Between him and DeMar DeRozan, I think those are the two guys that are most likely to go. You could argue one of them has to go for the Kings financially. We'll see what they decide to do, but we will hear from Malik Monk, who never holds back and always has something fun and witty to say. We'll hear his exit interview to start lunch break when we return. And then while we're waiting for Precious Achiuwa to speak, we'll talk about the critical summer that awaits Kings general manager Scott Perry. It's all to come here on the Matt and Kayla Show, Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With Popeye's new $6 faves menu, you can get this 3-piece chicken, this 3-piece tenders, this chicken sandwich, or these 2 regular sides for just $6 a piece. I know you can't see what I see, but trust me, those bold Louisiana flavors look so good, you might just have to get them all. Now there's an idea.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Injured and you're considering an LA law firm looking to charge you 45% to 50% in attorney's fees? That's overcharging. Ashton & Price has been around for over 25 years, and I can tell you no matter how complicated your injury case, you should never be charged 45% or 50% in attorney's fees ever. Direct, experienced, unrelenting, and honest local representation matters. It's called home court advantage for a reason. Ashton & Price serious local attorneys for serious people with serious injuries. So for the best local advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Now through May 3rd at Big O Tires. Get $50 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Hankook, or Pirelli brand tires with installation purchase. Book your appointment online today. Disposal fees extra, not covered with other offers. See your locally owned Big O dealer for pricing.
If your business depends on reliable vehicles, it's time to upgrade your fleet at myelkgrovechevrolet.com. We specialize in fleet pricing, bulk discounts, and fast approvals, so your team stays on the road and on the job. From work trucks and vans to fuel-efficient sedans and SUVs, we have the inventory, service, and financing to keep your business moving. Call or visit myelkgrovechevrolet.com today and ask about exclusive fleet savings. myelkgrovechevrolet.com. Driving business forward.
Is the crew on their way so we can fire up the grill?
Cabrito, arrachera. They're gonna love it.
Better go with birria and carne en su jugo. Classic Jalisco dishes with tradition.
That seasoning is great, but northern Mexican-style meat speaks for itself. Let's make both.
Deal. And to boost the flavor, ice-cold Pepsi. Its sweetness pairs perfectly.
And to go with it, flour tortillas.
And corn ones too. Hey, carne asada deserves Pepsi.
KHD HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports 1140. It's time for the lunch break. Your calls, your thoughts, your segment. Call or text us at 916-339-1140. It's the lunch break on Matt and Kayla.
Really quick before we hear from Malik Monk out at the Golden One Center, I want to give a shout out real quick to my guys. Chris Watkins, Frankie Cardicelli, Brendan Nunez, the three of them are there at the Golden One Center. Those are the three workhorses of our digital department here at Sactown Sports. They are there covering all these press conferences, getting all the graphics and videos out, asking killer questions. At least Brendan Nunez is doing that. The three of them handle so much. The three of them handle what like an 8 or 9 man social media and just digital team handles. They're incredible. And they're three of my closest friends in this industry. So shout out to the three of them, all the hustle that they're doing out there. I wish I was out there with them, as well as my guy Kevin John from ABC 10, Sean Cunningham from KCRA 3, Jake Gaden from CBS 13. Shout out Jason Anderson from the Sacramento Bee, along with Chris Biederman. I mean, all of the great friends that we have in this Sacramento media scene that we really work together to get through. James Ham as well from the Kings Beat and now taking over the Locked On Kings podcast. Shout out to all of them for all the amazing work that they do, and it's an honor to be a colleague of theirs and to call them friends. And there's many more that I'm missing, from Antonio Harvey to Jeremiah Salmonson, like so many, Michelle Dapper, incredible media members that do a phenomenal job covering this team every season. It's a pleasure, a privilege to be able to call you guys colleagues and to be able to work with all of you. So shout out you guys. Malik Monk hates all of us, though. And I say that in a tongue-in-cheek way. Malik, we have one of the best relationships with Malik, to where he's just 1,000% authentic. He will flip us off rather than talk to us at times, and that's just what makes him the best. Malik has been a pleasure, such a breath of fresh air to be able to cover over the last few seasons, and I hope this is not the last time that he's doing a press conference as a member of the Sacramento Kings, although he's another guy that it'll be very interesting to see what the Kings decide to do with him in this offseason, if the Kings decide to move him, as he's now going to be owed $20 million this season. Then he has around a $21.5 or something like that $1 million player option next season. So Malik's still very much under contract, but will the Kings try and move it or not? We'll have to wait and see with that. But right now, let's hear from the one and only pizza guy, Malik Monk from the Golden One Center.
What's up, dude?
What up?
How much you looking forward to this summer?
I mean, it's here now, so happy it's here. So I'm not really looking forward to anything but being with my son. So
Yeah. I asked this to, I can't remember, I think it was Domas the other day. It's like, you get a lot of observations about your team, be it fans and media, and maybe you guys might see something different. I'm just curious, what is it something that they don't see that you guys might see within yourselves in this group?
we were together. We were trying to win. And yeah, those two is really the biggest things, that we were out there competing and trying to win, even though sometimes it didn't look like it. We have miscommunication on defense, and it looked like we're not trying. But yeah, just that we were out there actually trying to win the game.
Malik, this season specifically, with you having your little guy, how much has that changed you, being a dad and having other responsibilities other than being Malik Monk?
Yeah, man, it changed me a lot. It lets me know, as bad as it seems, it's not that bad. Yeah, I'm thankful for him. Happy it happened at this time, because I don't know where I'd be, especially going through this crazy season if I ain't have him with me here. So yeah, I'm just thankful for him.
Malik, right over here. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, you good.
All right. I asked Zach the same question, in a season full of frustration and a lot going on as far as the win-loss column, right? What were some of the positive takeaways, some of the things that were, that brought a smile to your face throughout the season?
Dylan Cardwell, all the celebrations, man. All the young guys, actually. Actually, the whole group, we were just a happy group. Joked a lot, liked being around each other. So, yeah, it was just, off the court was amazing.
And picking back off that part too, does that kind of alleviate some of the pain? Because losing is painful, obviously. Does that alleviate some of that pain, when you have such a tight-knit group like that? You can joke and just kind of be yourselves around each other?
Yeah, exactly. It does. It does a lot, man. Even though we had a terrible season, it's not like every game we got killed. Most of the games, we were in the game. So it's just small things that we did and didn't get to win. But, yeah, that helped a lot.
What up, Malik?
What's up?
What's the first thing you're going to work on in your golf game this offseason?
My driver, keeping it in play.
No hooks. You watch the Masters, I'm guessing.
Yeah, of course.
Second one for you is, what do you think this team needs to do this offseason to improve? Is there anything specifically, in your opinion, that they need to do?
That's not my job to look and see what the team can do better. I'm just a part of the team, and whatever's said from the heads up is what I go out there and try to do. But I can't say what went wrong, what we can do better, what Scott can do better, what DC can do better, what the players can do. I can't just sit up here and point one thing out.
Hey, Malik, because you don't work with Doug in the last couple seasons, especially last season and a half, him being a head coach, it seemed like he kept that cohesion, that kept the team glued together, especially, through this rough season. What's your observation of him and how he was working with you guys, and did you see growth?
Yeah, his first year being a head coach, he definitely grew a lot, especially with just talking to the players, coming to us, letting us know things, what we need to do better, like as individuals. So yeah, he grew a lot with that. Then just him being a player, he kind of seen where we was coming from with some things we do, and he kind of adjusted his schedule, adjusted his way of thinking. So yeah, he grew a lot this year.
Similar question with Scott, first year that he's been at the helm here. What's your relationship been like with him throughout the course of the season, and have you noticed things differently this year under his leadership?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of conversations with Scott. Love what he's doing. It's about the team. It's about us. And when he first signed, he called me. Told me to come talk to him. And no GM has done that as soon as they signed. As soon as he got into town, he called me, let me know to come talk to him. And since then, I've been texting him. He called me, I call him. He's going to answer, give you a straightforward answer. So I think that's the things you look for in a GM, not trying to hide what we're doing, what's going on. If you got a question, he'll answer it. So, yeah, he's doing a great job.
About Scott and that relationship, it did feel like midway through the season there was a moment where all of a sudden you weren't going anywhere, you were going to stay here in Sacramento. Did that alleviate a lot of stress off of you, knowing that you're going to be here through the end of the season and potentially longer? I
really don't have any stress with the rumors or anything like that, man, because I'm a basketball player. I'm ready I knew I got in this business. I know trades can happen. So, yeah, it really wasn't no pressure taken off on me. But, of course, I wanted to be here, so I was pretty happy.
Yep, see y'all next year.
It's the great Malik Monk, the pizza guy from the Golden One Center. His exit
I'm a pizza
interview.
guy.
He is indeed a pizza guy, and hopefully the pizza guy will be sticking around. Like we said before his exit interview, he's got 2 more years under contract, one of them being a player option, which I imagine he'll pick up because it's good money. But the question is, will the Sacramento Kings look to move on from him or not? It was nice to hear Malik there talking about the relationship that he has with general manager Scott Perry and how he appreciates Scott. His exact quote was, he had a lot of conversations with Scott Perry this season, love what he's doing. He told the story of how Scott reached out to him immediately as soon as he got the job. They had a conversation. Malik's name was brought up in rumors a ton this past summer. He was very much connected to the Dennis Schroeder sign and trade with Detroit. He was very much connected to the Jonathan Kuminga conversation with the Golden State Warriors. His name was floated around all season long until it wasn't. I reported on this show, on this station, that the Kings were pivoting and moving off of a potential Malik Monk trade a couple weeks before the trade deadline itself. That's what James Ham in his question was alluding to there when it became clear that he wasn't going anywhere. Malik is in so many ways the heart and soul of this Sacramento Kings team. Now, of course, they need to get better. And specifically, they need to shed some salary. Because Bobby Marks of ESPN put out the estimation or the estimates financially for what the Sacramento Kings are going to look like. We've talked about this before, that as of right now, owed to 9 guys under contract next year, the Kings have $199 million already tied up in 9 guys. That includes the $25 million full of of DeMar DeRozan's contract. That includes the $49.5 million player option that we all believe and all signs point to Zach LaVine will pick up. Bobby Marks filling out the rest of the roster because you got to have more than just 9 guys, plus the money that you're going to owe your top draft pick and your second rounders and whatever. Just filling out the roster. Bobby Marks estimates that the Sacramento Kings salary next season will be $225 million. My friends, that is $3 million above the second apron. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, over $20 million above the luxury tax for this team. This team that just went 22-60. The worst or the second worst season in the Sacramento era history of the franchise. You cannot do that. Like that, in some extent, even though Scott Perry has inherited a ton of this mess, he did trade for DeAndre Hunter. So that $20 million, that's on him. He did extend Keegan Murray. That $25 million, that's on him. The other money, that's not, he inherited that. But regardless, if you are a second apron freaking team going into next season, I'm not saying that's like he deserves to be fired, but that's like a fireable offense in my opinion. That's ridiculous. This team should not be owed that much money and should not be paying that hefty of a tax bill. And remember, as a second apron team, you are significantly limited on what you can do. That's the point of the apron system. Teams were afraid to spend money. Last offseason was dry in terms of free agency and trades because teams did not want to get to that dreaded second apron. The Kings right now are projected to be above it financially. Scott Perry has to clean up this mess. And unfortunately, in my mind, one of DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk are going to have to go in order to get you there. Why those two? Well, because in a compliment to them, they're two of the easiest to move on from because I do believe they have value around the league. Plus, because of DeMar DeRozan's contract situation, he's only $10 million guaranteed out of that $25 million contract. Technically, you have until January to waive him before that contract becomes fully guaranteed. I believe the Sacramento Kings, first and foremost, are going to look to shop DeMar DeRozan, see if they could trade him for something this offseason. I think they're going to try and do the same thing for Malik Monk. And if they are not able to find trades for either of them, I don't know why the Kings wouldn't just pay the $10 million, buy out DeMar, bygones be bygones, DeMar. We get financially, it gets us under the threshold that we need to be at, gives you the opportunity to go and pick your team, and hopefully it's a playoff team that you can be an important piece of as you end your career. That's where I think we're headed. With Malik Monk specifically, I would love Malik Monk to be back. I don't know how much of a part of the future plans Malik is in Sacramento. And I do think he should have value around the league, but I know that $20 million price tag is spooky for some teams, especially that $21 and some change $1 million player option that he has the following year. It's one of the reasons why the Warriors weren't game. So I don't know what they're going to do with Malik Monk. If Malik Monk remains a Sacramento King, y'all, even with how much money he's being paid, that ain't a bad thing. It's not. It's not a bad thing. I still look at Malik Monk as a 6th, 7th man for this team going forward. Malik has a very important role with this team. Malik might be the backup point guard for the foreseeable future, as that point guard position continues to be a massive gaping hole that this team has to figure out what to do with. We talked about earlier, do the Kings look to bring Russell Westbrook back? I think there's definitely an appetite for that. Financially, how do they do it? How much money does Russ command? Is he going to be a league minimum player again? I don't think he should. I think Russ is worth more than that. I think there should be more interest around the league in Russell Westbrook than there was last summer, but who knows? I'm just speculating. Do the Kings bring Russell Westbrook back? Do the Kings look at Devin Carter, who they've already picked up his team option for next season, which is worth $5 million? Do the Kings look at Devin Carter as trade fodder, someone that they can attach to sweeten the deal or to shed a little more salary? Or do the Sacramento Kings look at Devin Carter now, how I believe they should based off of how this last month has gone? Devin Carter, I thought, played really, really well. Devin Carter's improvement as a point guard specifically from where he was during Summer League, when he was thrust into this point guard position, and all of us knew, just like he knew, if I'm going to play for the Sacramento Kings, my route to playing time with all the guards that are on this roster, my route to playing time is as a point guard. And he played point guard in Summer League, had some good moments, had a lot of moments where you're like, ooh, I don't know about that. And then, of course, Dennis Schroeder was brought in, Russell Westbrook was brought in, and Devin Carter's playing time was gone. But then started to open up a little bit more as Schroeder and Murray, and Keon Ellis were traded away. And then, of course, guys dealt with injuries. Devin Carter got some more playing time. Played well. Played really well. I don't think we talked enough about how much Devin Carter has improved as a point guard this season. That stood out to me on Friday night. So maybe the Sacramento Kings view Devin Carter as their backup point guard of the future. If that's the case, are they even more willing now to move on from Malik Monk? I don't know. I just don't see a scenario where both Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan are on the team next season unless the Kings are able to find a trade for Domantas Sabonis. But if they find a trade for Domantas Sabonis, how much salary are they freeing up? Because if you're moving Sabonis in his like $46 million or whatever he's owed next season, you have to take some salary back, right? And while you might not take a full $46 million back, you're going to take some. I don't know too many teams that are out there willing to just absorb a $46 million contract for you.
You can't shave $20 million off of it.
It's so. And Zach LaVine, just look, it's not, it's blunt and it's not kind to say, but the Kings are stuck with Zach LaVine. Like, that's just the reality. They're stuck with him. And I don't think Zach has a problem with that. He's picking up that player option that the Chicago Bulls gave him and the Kings traded for. He's going to pick up that money. He's going to take that money to the bank. I think the Sacramento Kings could absolutely use Zach LaVine better next season than they did this season. Sure, it's fair to question whether or not Zach LaVine is a winning player. Statistically, he has not been his entire career, but he is one of the best three-way scorers in this league. That's valuable. You can use that significantly better than the Kings did this season. I believe Zach LaVine is going to be a Sacramento King next year. I think the Sacramento Kings have already planned for that. They should have already planned for that. Buying out and stretch provisioning Zach LaVine does not make any sense for a team like the Kings, who are going to be probably not very good for the foreseeable future.
The one caveat I would add about DeMar and Malik not being back next year specifically is that as far as I understand the NBA rules, you just have to get below the second apron by the last day of the season. I don't think it's like opening day you have to get to this tax threshold. I think it's by the end of the season, that's what counts towards your luxury tax bill. So in theory, they could bring back DeMar DeRozan to start the season, but if they don't get a trade, they will 100% waive him before that January whatever deadline that his contract becomes guaranteed.
So if that's true, and it sounds right, if that's true though, my thing is, why would you do that? Because how is it any different than what you've done this season? Bringing back all these veterans to have the same issue when you're trying to incorporate rookies that are going to walk across that draft stage on draft night and are going to be looked at as the future of your organization, plus wanting to make sure you're continuing the development of Neek and Max and Dylan, and maybe even Devin. Like, why would you immediately put yourself back into a situation where if you're healthy, and hopefully the Kings are, now you're running into these playing time problems again? I think the Kings should actively try to avoid that, and they need to shed salary and need to get rid of some of these veterans in order to do that properly, in my opinion.
Well, the answer to your question is if they think they're going to get value in a trade before the January 15th or 10th deadline, which I would, again, to agree with you, you couldn't get anything for him this last offseason. You couldn't get anything for him at the trade deadline. And in this scenario, you theoretically couldn't get anything for him in the offseason.
Right.
So at that point, do you really, and it's not even the trade deadline either. It's like 4 weeks before the deadline is his date that they have to waive him. Mm-hmm. Do you really think you're going to get a deal in that short window of time where December 15th to January 15th, you think someone's now going to give you some dramatic value for DeMar DeRozan? It's probably not the case.
Yeah, I don't think the reward is worth the risk in this sense is, do you delay, the inevitable, but do you delay the development of some guys, right? Like, you don't want to have to run into a position where somebody who deserves to be playing and should be playing as part of this rebuild is being pushed down because, well, DeMar DeRozan has to play. Zach LaVine has to play, right? It's the whole conversation we had for months during this season, and it's not the fault of the veterans, by the way. It's not like blaming DeMar for it. DeMar's here, he gonna play. If Russ is back, he gonna play. That's what Doug Christie should be doing.
Yeah.
But this is where it's not on Doug, it's not on the veterans, this is on Scott. Scott, you got to clean this up. You got to give Doug a more cohesive roster that plays well together, that fits these 6 pillars, that fits this standard. You have to give him a better roster so we can actually see how good of a head coach he is, number one. And number two is you have to clear the runway rotationally for him to give the young talent the time that they really need to develop. If you want to continue the momentum that Doug Christie has built with these young guys going into this offseason, he built that because they had the time to play. So I don't expect all these veterans to suddenly be gone. That's not realistic. I think Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis will both be back. I think one of DeMar or Malik will be back. So there's 3 vets right there. Who knows what you decide to do with Russell Westbrook? Let's say you bring him back on a league minimum deal. There's 4 vets right there, not to mention Keegan Murray, DeAndre Hunter. There's 6 guys right there that need a significant amount of playing time.
And I'm sure we could go in there and add up whatever their salaries are and figure out their ability to make other moves around those 6.
The point is, Scott owes Doug Christie better roster-wise. I know this is still a mess that Scott inherited. I understand, but now you're over a year into this. Like, you got some work to do, man. You couldn't get it done at the trade deadline, so you kicked the can to this summer. Well, now the can is here. The summer is here. You got to make moves. You can't just say, "Well, we couldn't do anything. We're going to move it into next season and see if there's anything at the trade." You know what that sounds like? That sounds like Monty McNair. That sounds like Monty McNair is, we tried and nothing, so next time. Oh, we tried and nothing, so next time. And then you've wasted time.
Well, and you also lose leverage.
Yes.
Which the other side of the coin is like, well, those contracts will just expire at the end of the year, which is fair, but then you're losing the developmental time that you talked about.
So we just had a year that ultimately didn't mean anything unless, depending upon how the draft lottery goes and the development of these young guys. So now you're going to go into another gap year until you get to this amazing 2027 summer, and then what? Now you have all this this money, this cap space saved up or opened up. But you now have to make an even bigger decision about Doug Christie if you're going to commit to him long-term and sign him to an extension. You have to figure out what you have in these young guys. Scott has work to do, man.
You say that, but that is verbatim what Scott Perry said at the trade deadline.
Yes, I understand that, but wasting another year to get to that point, to me, is stupid from Scott and unfair to Doug.
Nope, you're absolutely right.
You have to open something up more here, is my point. You cannot waste this summer of, oh, we tried, but we just got to run it back because we have no other choice. You have to give Doug something more. You have to give Doug something more cohesive. This season was all an evaluation season, according to Scott Perry. Those are his words. This year is about evaluating. Well, we all evaluated. This team sucked, and they didn't work together. They got along in the locker room great. They stuck together. The camaraderie, I already gave them their flowers for that. As a basketball team, second worst in Sac era history. You've got to make changes. You can't just wait till January because that's when Zach or DeMar DeRozan's money is fully guaranteed or not. You got to get something done this summer. And I'm very interested to see what Scott Perry does. He already made one decision, and he made the right decision in my opinion. He brought Doug Christie back. He has another big decision coming, what he does in the draft. And the good news is for Kings fans, the one thing that Scott Perry has done the most right to this point in Sacramento, he nailed the draft last year. Nick Clifford, there's still some question marks, but he moved up to get him at 24, y'all. He didn't take him at top 10. Nick showing promise. Maxime Raynaud at 42 in the second round. One of the biggest steals of the draft. So that part we can take solace in. We can take comfort in. I have optimism. I'm optimistic that Scott Perry is going to be able to handle this draft the right way, regardless of how the ping pong balls go on Mother's Day. But figuring out these salaries and moving some of these veteran contracts this summer, that's where a lot of my my thoughts or my criticisms of who Scott Perry is as the general manager long term, that's where they're going to come from. That's what I got my eye on. We'll take the break. When we come back, we're waiting for the exit interviews to continue. We're waiting for Precious Achiuwa to speak. Plus, we still have to hear from Keegan Murray and the rookies, Maxime Raynaud, Nick Clifford, Dylan Cardwell. Some of those will bleed into the Drive Guys coverage as Whitey Gleason and Alan Stiles take over at 2 o'clock. We appreciate you being with us here on Exit Interview Day on your home of the Kings. It's Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
We are fortunate in Northern California to have weather that allows us to play golf year-round. On the other hand, that's a lot of time to be exposed to the sun's harmful rays, so just remember to apply the sunscreen. Experts say that SPF 30 blocks 97% of the UVB rays that cause sunburn, and you should apply sunscreen at least every 2 hours. So put it on before you play and reapply at the turn. Apply it evenly and thoroughly. When you use a spray, don't step into the spray because you won't be putting it on evenly. We all tend to get our arms, legs, and face, but make sure you apply to your ears, neck, hands, and scalp, and don't forget the backs of your knees. And make sure you check the expiration date. Experts also say the sunscreen that works is the sunscreen that you actually are going to put on your skin. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Country in the Park is back. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo. Miranda Lambert. John Party. Chris Young. Turnpike Troubadours. Dylan Scott and more. Line dancing live DJs, Mechanical Bulls, huge festival area, and food trucks. Tickets start at only $68. Country in the Park. May 8th and 9th at Cal Expo with N&S Tractor and Case Construction and Courtyard by Marriott Sacramento Cal Expo. More info at CITVFest.com.
The other guys must think you failed math. Get this huge discount. Then the fine print hits you with $5,200 in mandatory ads. It's adorable in a scammy kind of way. At Hoblet, we skip the tricks. The price you see is the price you actually pay. What a wild concept, huh? Hoblet, family owned 77 years. Experience the difference online at hobletdodge.com.
If you're serious about getting better at golf, start with the fit. At Hagen Oaks, everything begins with Total Game Fitting. The TrackMan Player Performance Studio analyzes your swing to match you with the right clubs. Bing's Ballnamic Fitting helps you find the golf ball for your game. The Hagen Oaks Putter Fitting Studio helps you roll it true. And with FootJoy's 3D foot scanner, you'll walk the course in shoes that actually fit. From driver to putter and even what's on your feet, Hagen Oaks fits every part of your game. Total Game Fitting, only at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at Business 80.
Sacramento Electronic Supply Company on the eve of America's 250th anniversary. This July 4th salutes our greatest heroes. the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, who have dedicated and sacrificed to protect our nation through their courage and valor. This message courtesy of Sacramento Electronic Supply Company, located at 114270 Sunrise Gold Circle in Rancho Cordova, serving Sacramento over 80 years. Distributors of Datacom, telecom security products, and industrial electronic parts and components.
It's Matt George and Kayla Anderson on Sactown Sports 1140.
It's been an unbelievable day of exit interviews here in Sacramento. I don't know. Just trying to gas it up more than it was. Typical exit interview day. Inside the Golden One Center, the Sacramento Kings media hearing from a plethora of players, and we've heard from a lot of them on the show today. We've heard from Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. We've heard from Domantas Sabonis, DeAndre Hunter, Malik Monk. Now we're waiting to hear from Precious Achiuwa and Keegan Murray here in hopefully just a little bit. Then we'll hear from the rookies later on, although some of those exit interviews might bleed into the drive guys. Whitey Gleason and Alan Stiles will take over for me at 2 o'clock. Don't worry. Kayla Anderson will be back tomorrow. She is on her last day of a well-deserved vacation, a break, some time off. Got to spend some time with the ladies. Have a good girls' weekend, which seems like she enjoyed it based off her social media post. Happy to hear her stories and have her back. Talk the end of the Kings season with her and beyond. She also, Kyle, has to answer because, well, as the resident Seattle Mariners expert, it's, of course, hers to answer for here in Sacramento. She's also going to have to wear that Ichiro statue debacle. You saw that? The broken bat statue? She's going to have to wear that one a little bit.
That was pretty funny, that the bat, like, flopped over. Apparently, you just screw it back in, which I don't know how that works, but...
They fixed it quickly, and good on them, and good on the Mariners for having fun with it. They, I guess, gave out, like, little replica statues, and they broke the bat on one of them and posted it on social media. Here's what all the fans are getting at tonight's game. But Ichiro is a good sport about it. Ken Griffey Jr., of course, was a great sport about it.
Also, I don't know if you saw this, but the Mariners are in last place.
And guess who's in first?
Would that be the West Sacramento, but heading...
The A's. They are tied with the Texas Rangers at the top of the AL West. They went 5-1 in New York this week.
Couples 1-0 victories, too. Pitchers duels.
I know. Their bullpen held on to leads and won games. What the hell? I'm not used to saying that. 2-1 against the Yankees. 3-0 against the Mets. Oh, I have been enjoying the meltdown from Mets fans on social media over the last few days. Whoo! They are losing their minds. They hate Bo Bichette over there right now. They hate their team. The A's did it to them. That was fun. And now the A's are back in Sacramento, where they've only played 3 games so far. And they are taking on the first place, or co-first place, Texas Rangers in the AL West. So some meaningful baseball early on for the A's at Sutter Health Park, which I'm very much looking forward to. Then I believe the Chicago White Sox are in town this week, so a good opportunity to pick up some wins there as well. Go A's, huh?
How about that? Meaningful baseball in West Sacramento. Didn't have any of that last year.
We love that. We love that. Keep it going, boys. The last team to get a win is now first place in the AL West.
5-game winning streak.
We're cooking. Need the bats to wake up, though, a little bit. Like we can't be winning 1-0 games very often. So let's wake up, bats.
How about maybe just a little more Bangaliers?
Well, Shea been doing his part. We need Nick is waking up finally. We need Tyler Soderstrom to wake up. Brent Rooker had that walk-off against the Houston Astros in Sacramento last week, or a week and a half ago, or whatever it was.
Oh, I forgot to check in. Did he miss a game? Or was he okay?
Yeah, no, he's on the IR, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Brent's out for right now.
Man, that really sucks because he was obviously 162 last year. Yeah. That was like a big thing that he wanted to get to, was playing 162, so that sucks.
It's easier as a DH, but he hurt himself taking a swing in New York. I think it was the Yankees series.
Well, we were watching the game, so yeah. I think it probably was.
Poor guy. Hopefully he's back soon. But the A's are in first place, and I'm happy to say that. We are waiting to hear from Precious Achiuwa and Keegan Murray. They're the next scheduled Kings to speak at their exit interviews inside the Golden One Center. I think they're actually in the Kings practice facility, which is attached to the Golden One Center today. So as soon as we get that, we will take that live for you as soon as Precious appears. In the meantime, Kyle, the Sacramento Kings are not a part of the playoffs or postseason anyway. I know last year at this time they were getting ready for the play-in tournament, and we unfortunately remember what happened at the hands of the Dallas Mavericks in Sacramento. That was a ass-kicking.
Which, by the way, exit interview day last year was crazy because it was like within 24 hours we went from they're playing in the play-in to they've lost in the play-in to Monty McNair just got fired to Scott Perry just got hired. It was pretty crazy.
And if I'm seeing correctly, Kyle, right now Keegan Murray is sitting down at the podium. Do we want to take him live or should we all right, well, you know what? We're going to stall a little bit just in case because you never know. Not that Keegan is one to fire off some F-bombs or anything like that, although honestly, I'd be here for it. I would encourage, if Keegan just took the mic and just started like cussing, truth be told, I'd tell Kyle not to dump it and we'll just take the fine. Not really, bosses, I'm kidding, but it would just be funny. I've long rooted for the day that Keegan Murray gets a technical foul because I will celebrate. I don't care the circumstance. Well, if it costs the Kings a game, maybe at the end, maybe I'll be a little upset. But I would love to see Keegan Murray get a technical foul. Pretty sure his teammates would celebrate it with him too. So we'll hear from Keegan Murray stepping to the podium. Currently, we'll hear from him in just a little bit. Last night's win for the Portland Trail Blazers over the Kings put them at 42-40. Because in the 7-8, you actually have essentially a get-out-of-jail-free card. You can lose a game in the 7-8 play-in and still have a chance to make the playoffs. In the 9-10, you have to win out. You have to win 2 games in a row. So the 9-10 game is going to be very interesting. You got the Kawhi Leonard LA Clippers against the Steph Curry Golden State Warriors. That game will be in the Intuit Dome. The winner of that game will face the loser of the Phoenix Suns and Portland Trail Blazers. That game is in Phoenix. Whoever wins that game is locked into the 7th seed, and they will have the privilege of taking on De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, and the San Antonio Spurs in the first round of the playoffs. Whoever loses that game will take on the winner of the Clippers and Warriors in their own building. So let's say the Blazers lose in Phoenix. Well, they will host the winner of Clippers-Warriors. And whoever wins that game has the honor of likely getting swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. That is the play-in. That's how it works. So that's the play-in tournament in the West. I think we're going to get some good games there. In the Eastern Conference, Charlotte, despite the fact that they caught fire, can we give a little love to the Eastern Conference this year? Like the Eastern Conference finally actually showing up for once because the 10th seed is the Miami Heat, and they're 4 games over 500, 43-39. That doesn't happen in the East very often. The Charlotte Hornets were arguably the best team in basketball the second half of the season, and they managed to just get up to 9th with a 44-38 record. So the Charlotte Hornets will host the Miami Heat in the 9-10 game. I hope the Charlotte wins. I hope Charlotte gets into the playoffs. They deserve it with how they've been playing. They will take on the loser of the Philadelphia 76ers versus Orlando Magic. That game will be in Philly in the 7-8 play-in game. Whoever wins that game will be the 7th seed and will take on the Boston Celtics in the first round. Whoever wins the second game will play the Detroit Pistons in the first round. As of right now, the guaranteed playoff matchups that we have in the Eastern Conference include the Knicks versus the Raptors. No, I'm sorry. The Knicks versus the Hawks. And you've got the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors in the 4-5 game. Okay matchups. In the West, oh yeah, let these playoffs begin, man. I'm so excited about these playoffs. You've got the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. Hell yeah, sign me up. Denver and Minnesota in the first round. And then you got the Battle of the Old. You got Zach. You've got LeBron James and the LA Lakers against Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets in the 4-5 game. I'm excited. I'm excited about these playoffs. I think the NBA is desperate for these playoffs. We'll take the break. When we come back, we will hear from Keegan Murray. He's at the podium inside the Golden One Center for his exit interviews right now. We'll hear from Keegan and more coming up next. It's Exit Interview Day, and you're listening to Matt and Kayla here on Sactown Sports.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
When your check engine light comes on, do you see a repair bill or do you see peace of mind?
For 20 years, CarShield's been the name America trusts to help keep you on the road. While other companies stop covering you when your car gets older, CarShield offers protection plans up to 200,000 miles. With over $1 billion in claims paid, we don't just promise protection, we deliver it. Don't let a breakdown break your budget. Get the flexible month-to-month coverage you deserve. Go to CarShield.com. That's CarShield.com today.
Thunder, feel the thunder. It's the energy all around you.
Lightning and the thunder.
The thrill of the moments to come. The flash of lights. The rush of pure exhilaration. The roar of the crowd. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
With Popeye's new $6 faves menu, you can get this 3-piece chicken, this 3-piece tenders, this chicken sandwich, or these 2 regular sides for just $6 a piece. I know you can't see what I see, but trust me, those bold Louisiana flavors look so good, you might just have to get them all. Now there's an idea.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
When life calls for a little extra, a kitchen upgrade, paying off debt, or that dream vacation, Valley Strong Credit Union is here to help. With a Valley Strong home equity loan, you can tap into your home's value with competitive rates, flexible terms, and local guidance you can trust. Get approved in as little as 5 minutes, with funding in as few as 5 days. Your goals are within reach. Visit valleystrong.com to get your offer today. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your possibilities. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 456506.
Now through May 3rd at Big O Tires. Get $50 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Hankook, or Pirelli brand tires with installation purchase. Book your appointment online today. Disposal fees extra, not good with other offers. See your locally owned Big O dealer for pricing.
It's time for the 2-minute drill. Kayla Anderson has the ball, and she's taking us around the world of football. It's Kayla's 2-minute drill on Matt and Kayla.
Not today, voice guy. 2-minute drill is out as Kayla Anderson is on vacation. Sorry, football. Today's not your day. It's exit interview day for the Sacramento Kings. Keegan Murray currently at the podium. We'll have his comments for you coming up in just a little bit. Very curious about some of the things that Keegan has to say in his always loud and boisterous accent. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for Keegan to wrap up, while we have a little bit of free time, why don't we dive into our mini-seasons update? Because, well, this mini-season last week went down to the wire. As of right now, Kayla is the owner of this mini-seasons trophy. But will she keep it? Well, on Friday, I picked the Giants to beat the Baltimore Orioles. They did, 6-3. On Friday, Kyle, chose the Brewers to beat the Nationals. They did not, 7-3. have to get back to work. It's a new season. It is a new season, and because I won, I will have the second pick in this draft. You have the first.
For today, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Washington Nationals.
You keep picking against the Nationals. It's not working out for you.
No, but Paul Skeens is on the mound today, so I'm all in on Paul Skeens and the also first place Pittsburgh Pirates somehow.
I am going to go with the Atlanta Braves. They are taking on your Marlins this week. So I'll pick them.
Beware, Matt.
I'll pick them at some point. As long as Sandy ain't pitching, I know I'm in good shape.
Well, you can take them later in the week once they're not playing them anymore.
All right, your third pick.
I will take the Washington Nationals because I promised I would take them because I lost to him twice last
well, no. Yeah, Sandy's not pitching today. I'll do the Braves over the Marlins today.
But dangerous game. Dangerous game picking against the Marlins.
I'm going to be just fine, I think. There you go.
How dare you? Fins up, baby.
You get the Pirates versus the Nationals. I get the Phillies versus the Marlins, and we will hear who Kayla has when she picks her teams in the group chat later. She'll share with you that on tomorrow's show. We'll take the break. When we come back, let's hear from Sacramento Kings forward Keegan Murray. Plus, we're waiting for Precious Achiuwa to come to the podium as well. Our exit interviews continue here on the home of the Sacramento Kings at Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spring is here, and warmer days are right around the corner. Before the heat hits, call Brower Mechanical. Right now, when you purchase a new high-efficiency AC system, you can choose a water heater or a whole house fan for just $1. Or get your AC professionally tuned up for just $89. Don't wait until your system breaks down during the heat. Brower Mechanical, where quality meets comfort. 916-352-3113. Residential and commercial HVAC sales and service. License number 108-1055.
This is the sound of Claire, cooking dinner at home. And that's the sound of a fraud alert from Wells Fargo, flagging a charge for a pricey restaurant in Paris. Considering Claire isn't in Paris right now, that seemed odd. To the bank and to Claire. 2 taps later, Claire says nope to the charge, and Wells Fargo is on the case. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55-plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it. Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of Essentials Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Oak Cliff Speed Test Intelligence Data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
KHD HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sactown Sports 1140. Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports 1140.
Today is exit interview day in Sacramento. Kings season came to an end last night against the Portland Trail Blazers. Now the players are back. They're inside of the Golden One Center where they go through a flurry of end-of-season meetings and activities, including meeting with the coaches, meeting with Scott Perry and the front office, just putting an end to the season. And then they head over to the practice facility for a quick chat with members of the Sacramento media. We've heard from a number of Kings so far today, including Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Zach LaVine. If you want to hear any of those exit interviews, you can check them out right now on our Sactown Sports YouTube channel. But as frustrating as this season has been, you could argue no one had it worse than Keegan Murray, who just dealt with injury after injury after injury after injury this year.
What's up, Sacramento?
Such a lost season for Keegan. And he stepped to the podium just a few minutes ago inside the Golden One Center and talked to the media about what this year was like for him.
Hey, Keegan, how you doing?
What up?
Obviously a weird season for you, dealing with a lot of injuries. Just kind of how do you reflect back on this year? And you came into the year saying you wanted to win or be in the race for most improved player. Obviously don't really get a chance to do so, but mentally, what was sort of this season like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I played only one game healthy, and that was the first preseason game against Toronto. So for me, it was just mentally, just watching the game, watching the coaching staff, the players, our rookies, things like that, and just learning what they do and try to implement that into next year. So it was definitely a learning process. Mentally, it was tough because you go through the whole summer working out, getting ready for the long season, and then it just gets taken away pretty quick, especially with the thumb surgery. But it's definitely a mentally taxing year for sure.
How close were you to coming back towards the end of these at any point in this season after experiencing the ankle injury?
The second ankle injury was rough, the one in Houston, and I tried to ramp back up so I could play like a couple weeks, and then had a pretty rough setback. I think it was like in the middle of March or so. So then at that point, it was kind of just trying to get it to heal the right way, and at that point, it was just kind of too late to ramp back up and get back on the court.
And then when you look at just, these two seasons that you've had, I know DeMar had touched on how tough last season was, as this year is even worse. For you, just how do you kind of look at the whole of those two, and what gives you kind of the optimism as you step forward?
I think just knowing, obviously last season was rough. This season was different. We started out slow and finished slow too. So, we're at the bottom of the West, and at this point, we just have to try and establish an identity and find ways to win. Obviously, we'll have a good draft pick going into next year too, and I think with the guys we have a good collection of talent. It's just trying to get that chemistry and win games.
Keegan, watching this season go by, what is it that you have to do to make this not a lost season for you? Was there things that you were able to take away from this year, even though you weren't on the court that much?
Yeah, I think I spent a lot of time with the coaching staff, and for me, it was great to just see visually how the rookies play, how our young guys played, and they played a lot better towards the end of the season. And with that being our future, it's kind of, for me, just building a connection with them and watching them grow and see where I can fit in with how they play. And they've shown a lot, and they've been really good. So I think it's hard to kind of find a positive out of this season for me, and that's about the only thing that I can think of.
How are you feeling right now, and what are some of the things that you like to do in the offseason, to get better and make sure your body is right by the time training camp starts?
Yeah, it's still not really 100%. So I was just taking these next couple weeks, month, whatever it takes to just get healthy, and then just go into the offseason and continue to just evolve my game and continue to grow as a player. And I think for the most important thing is just to get healthy, and I haven't been healthy in months, so that's the biggest point of emphasis for me.
Keegan, just want to go back a few years. Your rookie year here, you guys are the 3 seed, make the playoffs, end the drought. The 2 subsequent years, play-in tournament, get eliminated, and then this year, no play-in, no playoffs at all. seeing that it's kind of gone downhill since your rookie season, what do you do personally to keep yourself mentally strong, inspired, optimistic, and those kind of things, especially being a young player that you are? How do you overcome that and try to get back on track?
Yeah, I mean, our first 2 years, I feel like we're similar, especially just record-wise. My second year, I think the West just got a lot better. But I always just try and go back because obviously as a rookie, it was obviously a great rookie season, make the playoffs, things like that. So I always try to I feel like I'm hooked on the memory of like going to one center in the playoffs, and that's kind of the feeling I chase. And I'm one of the few guys that on this team that know that feeling. So for me, it's just trying to get back there. And once we get back there, it's just staying there and continuing to grow as an organization.
Keegan, is this the least amount of games you've played in one season?
Yeah, I mean, even I played more games in high school. Yeah, I mean, I played 23 and a quarter games, and it was rough. So yeah.
Speaking how rough it is, who do you lean on this year to try to get through all the things that you had to overcome?
I mean, Russ was big. Doug McDermott. I mean, I feel like the team kind of rallied around me in those moments, and that's something I'm thankful for. And I mean, even though the season was rough, we had a good camaraderie in the locker room, and just being around those guys helped me get through the season, trying to make it a little lighthearted than what it was. So we had a lot of great guys in the locker room that when I was at my lowest point, they helped me pick me back up. Yeah, my wife and my dog, yeah, they're great too.
Keegan, I want to get your perspective on the young guys. So what type of growth did you see on like Max, Neek, and Dylan this year? What popped to you about their games?
Yeah, I mean, with Max, he's been able to take his opportunity and kind of fulfill it, just being a focal point of the other team's game plan, I think, and he's obviously had success with that. And the thing about him is there's a lot of opportunity for him to grow as a player, especially with his frame, his strength, and things like that. So it'll be cool to see how he develops this offseason. Then Neek, I feel like he got more comfortable handling pressure, especially I feel like these last couple games he did a really good job with that. And Dylan, obviously he had the ankle sprain after All-Star break, and once he got a rhythm back, he became an elite defender, blocking shots, things like that. And I think all those guys have great opportunity in this league. So it's cool, especially just to see how they evolve throughout their first summer.
Hey, Keegan. Since Media Day, you said last summer you spent away from Sacramento for the first time and you really caught a flow. With this being such an unnormal year, is there anything different this summer to catch that flow back, or what's going to go into that?
I mean, last summer, it was the most healthy I've been going into a season. Strength-wise, health-wise, physically, and I think it was just a lot of freak accidents that happened this season. I don't think I'm going to change much. I'm going to spend some time with our young guys and work out with them and things like that to just try to build chemistry and get our organization going the right way. So I'm not going to change much. Just try and get healthy.
Obviously, you missed a lot of the games this year, but first full year under Doug, first year under Scott as well. New guys for you, obviously Doug last year as well. But how was that different for you this season with those two guys being the ones leading the charge? And what do you think of the jobs that they did this year? Yeah, I mean, Doug, obviously it's his first year being a head coach. I think at any level, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like he grew with our young guys, and obviously there's going to be rocky points throughout the season, but I think as a whole, it was really cool to see him take a step as a head coach and things like that. And the head people in our organization are trying to build a culture here and just try and get things to shift, and you got to have the right people in this organization to make that happen. And under year one, you never know what you're going to get, and just being consistent, and eventually it'll evolve into what they want.
Keegan, you talked about it. A lot of guys on the team that have came up here and talked about it as well. This is a tight-knit group in that locker room. There's a lot of camaraderie. if at all, has there been conversations amongst you all about wanting to bring the same team back after all the injuries to try and have another crack at it?
I mean, there's a lot of unknown with the NBA. Like, I've never gone into the season with the exact same team. It's kind of rare that happens. But I mean, there's obviously the unknown of what if I was healthy, what if DeAndre's healthy, what if we had guys that played 75 plus games. You just don't know how the chemistry could have evolved on the court. So, I mean, even Domas too. So, I mean, there's a lot of unknown, and I think it's just wherever the cards lay, the cards will lay.
Keegan, and I'm not talking any trash. I'm just saying, but your Hawkeyes, they looked good in the Big Ten this season, but that's just basically not my question. I know last season you said you stepped away from Sacramento, to do some things, just trying to, gauge, were you going to stay around here and work out, or are you going to be moving around in the offseason as far as workouts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give a location. I don't really want people to know where I'm at. But, I mean, I'll be in and out. I think I'll be here more than I was last summer. So, I mean, I plan on going to different spots, working out with different guys, just getting a different feel for things.
Thanks so much.
All right. Yep.
So there you go. Keegan Murray, after a very frustrating season. There was a lot of stuff there. Talked about how he hurt his ankle the first time, then came back from it, and hurt it again in Houston, and then tried to fight back from it, and then in the middle of March had a setback with it, then basically said, well, it's too late at this point. And I'm glad the Kings ultimately shut him down. Just a frustrating year for Keegan Murray, I can imagine, as much as he's capable of showing emotion there. I did think it was interesting. He talked about how much time he spent with the coaching staff and connecting with the rookies. You got to make use of your time somehow, and if you're going to be sitting on the bench a lot, might as well be chatting with the coaches, talking up what you're trying to do, building a relationship with the rookies. That seemed to be something that was very important to Keegan. Like, he seemed very much about, hey, I gotta build with these guys, I gotta grow with these guys because they're going to be the future of this team, and he seemed very set on he's going to be spending a lot of time with them this offseason, and that immediately made me think of, well, he's following in the example of his vet, and his vet was De'Aaron Fox. Because after Keegan's rookie season, of which the Kings made the playoffs, Keegan and De'Aaron spent almost the entire summer together, right? And they played a lot of one-on-one. Keegan grew exponentially as a defender, having to attempt to guard De'Aaron Fox for an entire summer. So Keegan saw firsthand, hey, that's what I'm supposed to do now that I'm entering that first full year of his second contract. I don't know if we can consider Keegan veteran status yet, but he's been around for a long time now, or for a decent amount of time, and is now going to move into that stage where he's going to try and connect with the young guys as much as possible. So I'm glad to see Keegan have that approach and have that expectation for himself. I love what he said about being hooked on the memory of the Golden One Center in the playoffs, right? And I think we can all relate to that. We remember what this city was like. Beam Team 1, Keegan's rookie season, when they were the 3 seed. They snapped the playoff drought and hosted the Warriors in the first round of the playoffs, right? And how much this city was just going crazy, how great the atmosphere was in the Golden One Center and the Chase Center for that playoff series. And Keegan wants to get back to that. Of course, we all want to get back to that, but that's what he's chasing. That's what motivates him in a season like this. He's chasing that memory, he said. He clearly wants to get back to it, and he's going to be an essential part of the Kings getting back to it. As of right now, I mean, he is as close as it gets to an established member of this core. Now, nobody is untradeable in my mind, and we've discussed scenarios where maybe the Kings would consider moving on from Keegan if it meant improving their draft stock, or they find a younger player that maybe fits their timeline better, or whatever. I would be pretty surprised if the Kings trade Keegan, but I think it's something that they have to consider, just like they should and have to consider every potential possibility to improve this team. But I expect Keegan Murray to be back, and he should be looked at as part of the core as he will start his new deal, and I think he's getting paid like $25 million or something like that next season, year 1 of his contract, that he and the Kings agreed to and signed with Scott Perry's leadership right before the start of the season. Remember, Keegan had gotten hurt in preseason, like Keegan said there in his exit interview, that the only healthy game he played this year was the first game of the preseason. He got hurt. The Kings still got that contract done. I'm glad they did it. And then this season went the way that it did, not just for the team, but for Keegan, especially with all the injuries, him being in and out of the lineup, which I know is frustrating for him. But Keegan should be looked at as part of the core, and if the Kings are going to chase that memory, as he says, and get back to the playoffs in the Golden One Center, well, he's going to have to be a major part of that. And I know he still wants to prove that he can be more as a scorer, as an offensive threat for the team going forward. I like that he said that Doug McDermott and Russell Westbrook were two guys that he mentioned by name as veterans that really helped him through the injury frustrations, but he, like so many others, have talked about how close the group was and how they helped him through all the injury frustrations. And he talked about, again, how much he's looking forward to spending time with the young guys this summer. And I know Mustache Spider doesn't like it, but you can deal with it, buddy, because when we're talking about De'Aaron Fox and bringing up De'Aaron Fox as part of this conversation, it's because, well, De'Aaron taught Keegan a lot. And Keegan is now entering into that phase of life and phase of his career where he's going to try to step into more of that leader role and work with these young guys. So bringing up De'Aaron Fox in that sense is to talk about where he learned it. Every player has their vet when they come into the league. For Maxime Raynaud, his vet was very clearly Russell Westbrook this year, right? And you see the influence of those vets in these players throughout their career. De'Aaron was that vet for Keegan. And I'm interested to see if Keegan and how Keegan approaches working with their young guys this offseason and spending that time with them, because that's something that certainly happened with him. Now let's hear from Precious Achiuwa. Precious, who was not on the team to start the season, was brought in because of all the injuries, especially to Keegan Murray, and carved out a phenomenal role for himself. He quickly became a fan favorite here in Sacramento. He's another major question mark this summer. I think the Kings would love to bring him back, but can they financially afford to do so? Well, here is Precious Achiuwa in his exit interview from the Golden One Center.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, this is loud.
We hear you well. When you reflect back on your first season here, what kind of stands out to you about, you got to a lot of opportunity, expanding your game, getting the tallies up more towards the end of this season. How much did you enjoy getting the opportunity to get more playing time, and how do you reflect back on this year?
I mean, it was a blessing. It was amazing just to be able to come in, especially situation at the time, how I came in, and then just it's a huge shout out to the organization, my teammates and coaches just trusting me, especially coming in like that where the team is already established. You kind of were like the last piece to the puzzle, but then it was a lot of trust from my teammates, obviously. Huge shout out to them and the coaching staff as well, in allowing me to find my way within the team.
Hey, Precious. You have a big decision this offseason to figure out if you want to take your talents somewhere else or be back here in Sacramento. What's the most important things to you when you make those decisions?
That's a good question. I mean, for me, the most important thing is being somewhere where I'm wanted. You know what I mean? A place that the organization that wants me to be there, and where I enjoy being. Sacramento is a place that I love being. I've played in a lot of big cities. I grew up in a big city as well. But I've always been the type of person to kind of like be low key out the way. Sacramento gives me that feeling, where it's not a lot going on, not too crazy, and that's most of my pace. But at the end of the day, it's business. You never know. It's never black and white in this business. This is year 6 for me. I've kind of seen a lot of things, in a short period of time. But it's just taking it one day at a time. See what happens, see what unfolds. My representations are gonna be in constant communication with the organization and the front office, and hopefully, I'm praying that we're able to come to something. that works for both sides.
You know you've had confidence in your abilities of what you could do on the basketball floor. Given the season that you had, do you feel like you've opened some eyes or taken a dramatic step forward from maybe the player that you displayed in the previous seasons prior to this?
100%. 100%. I think for myself, I've been able to expand my game and also show that I'm able to do a lot of different things on the basketball court, offensively and defensively. Being able to guard multiple positions comfortably. 1 through 5. There was points in the season where I started off the game guarding point guards. Started off the game guarding centers. Wings. No matter what the case was, and then offensively, just being able to figure out my game within everybody else's offense, and being able to impact winning. For me, I think that's something that I was able to show this year. Given the opportunity.
Precious, it seemed like you guys enjoyed the good times even during a tough season. And one of the things that a lot of the fans connected with was the post-game, like the Bean Boys thing. You bring the sunglasses and shades with the young guys. Well, what was that connection like with the young guys? And why was even that moment important for you guys to do as a team?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, for me, it was just something just to add a little bit of flair, a little bit of spice to it. I like the whole Beam idea. I thought it was, I've always watched it, being on other teams and playing against Sacramento. I've always watched the Beam, but coming in, I was like, how can we spice it up a little bit? And the sunglasses kind of came to mind. And I was like, hey, this is going to be something, a little more exciting, just to add to the excitement. Obviously we weren't having the type of season that we all came in thinking we were going to have in terms of, wins and losses, but you can still find joy, in the little things, and for me that was my mindset, and implementing, all the small things and being able to connect with, the rookies and other type of stuff. It was fun.
Precious. Just even with all that, just picking back off that, one of the big things that Doug, everyone on the team wanted to have established here, Scott as well, is developing a winning culture. Do you feel like some of the things that you guys have done, looking back at this season, has started to build that process as far as looking down the future line?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've made a huge emphasis on building a winning culture and the pillars and all that kind of stuff that they've set, and they've done a good job of implementing those. And I think as the season went along, we did a better job of following, and being able to doing the best to our ability to implement those as much as possible. I mean, for me, I've been in a lot of winning situations, early in my career. I got drafted by a team that had just came from the finals. So there's a lot of winning expectations, a lot of winning basketball. The way you play the game is a little different when you're in an environment like that. And, Scott, Doug, those guys have competed at a really high level. Scott put together, we already know the type of teams, the championship teams that he's put together over the years. But those are the little things, that don't necessarily, a lot of them don't really go in the stat sheet, but they affect winning, and I think as the season went along, a lot of the rookies, guys 2-3 years in, started to figure out this is what it takes to win. To win in this league is not easy. I'll tell you that. But it could be done. If you put the work and the effort towards it.
Precious, remember when you first got here too, you said you wasn't worried about, signing with another team. You're just looking for that fit. When you got here, when did you know this was going to be a comfortable fit for you?
I remember, I think it was one of my initial conversations with Doug, and he pretty much just put out a blueprint for me, how he sees me, how the team wants to play, moving forward, that type of stuff. And that's when I figured this was going to be a good fit. And also looking around, a lot of guys are, for the most part, around my age, Keegan, Malik, even some of the younger guys as well. We're not that much far off in age, the exception of Ross and DeMar. But I felt like this is a place that fit, my style of play. Play fast, play tough, the little things, grit, being able to, do all the little things to impact win. That's naturally how I kind of play. I like to play very aggressive. I think every decision that I make on the basketball court is, channeled towards winning. That's just how my mind works. I'm not the type of player where I go out there and say I'm gonna try to score the ball today just for scoring's sake. If I'm scoring the ball, or if I'm defending the best player, if I'm rebounding, or whatever the case is, diving for loose ball, all that stuff is not because I want to do it for myself. It's just my mind is wired because I feel like this is a winning play to make, so yeah. Thank you, guys.
There is Precious Achiuwa from the Golden One Center, his exit interview, and certainly I hope that is not the last time that we hear from Precious as a member of the Sacramento Kings. Man, what a year it was for him. As frustrating as this season was, Precious was fantastic. And as you can hear there in his exit interview, if you tuned in late and missed it, he talked about how much he would love to come back to Sacramento, how much he loves Sacramento just as a city. It's his speed, it's his style. And he says he and his representation will be in constant communication with the Kings to try and hopefully work something out. It's very clear to me that Precious really, really wants to come back. These comments remind me of after the Beam Team year. Beam Team won. They make the playoffs. Trey Lyles had an exit interview that was very similar to this. Trey talked about like he feels like he found his NBA home. He had been traded mid-season from Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, and loved it here in Sacramento, obviously played a role. Now, unfortunately, after the Kings did re-sign him and bring him back, which is what both sides wanted, he dealt with lingering injury issues over the next couple of years, and it didn't end up working out the way that they were hoping for. But ultimately, I bring up that example because it was very clear the player wanted to come back. I think the Kings are very interested in having Precious Achiuwa back, or they should. Financially, we'll figure out if they can do it, because I think Precious is going to be making a decent chunk of change more than he was making this year as a league minimum player. I would love Precious Achiuwa to be back as a Sacramento King. I think it should be one of the high priorities this offseason for Precious to be back as a King, and I think Kings fans would love that. We'll take the break. When we come back, we will hear from Kings rookie Maxime Raynaud, who is one of the best stories of this Kings season, one of the best stories in the NBA, at least amongst rookies. We'll hear from Max after his first full season in the league, and we're getting close to the end of this show, but don't worry, stick around, because the Drive guys will continue our coverage of the Sacramento Kings exit interviews from the Golden One Center. We are your home of Kings basketball. It's Sactown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When your check engine light comes on, do you see a repair bill, or do you see peace of mind? For 20 years, CarShield's been the name America trusts to help keep you on the road. While other companies stop covering you when your car gets older, CarShield offers protection plans up to 200,000 miles. With over $1 billion in claims paid, we don't just promise protection, we deliver it. Don't let a breakdown break your budget. Get the flexible month-to-month coverage you deserve. Go to carshield.com. That's carshield.com today.
Russell Peters, Relax World Tour.
I go, my parents are from India. She goes, oh, India. See, I knew India. Indian people, you have a big eyes and long eyelash like a cow. Wow, 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 wow.
Saturday, April 18th, 8 p.m., the venue at Thunder Valley.
Wow, 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 wow. I didn't know what to do. I just tipped her one, thank you, bye-bye, and I left.
For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Russell Peters, Relax World Tour.
At Big O, our Protect Plus warranty offers free flat repairs, replacements, and roadside assistance. So tire trouble is no trouble at all. Now through May 5th, get $50 to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Hankook, or selected Pirelli brand tires with installation purchase. Plus, get an extra $50 in rebates when using your Big O Tires and Service credit card. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Installation required. Disposal fees and shop fees extra where permitted. See store for pricing. Eligibility may vary. Not valid with other offers.
Buying golf gear is easy. Buying the right golf gear, well, that's different. At Hagen Oaks, they don't just sell equipment, they fit your entire game. With TrackMan technology in the Player Performance Studio, your clubs are matched to your swing. Ping's Ballnamic Fitting helps you find the golf ball that performs best for you. Hagen Oaks Putter Fitting Studio dials in your stroke, and FootJoy's 3D foot scanner finds correct shoe size for your feet. It's a smarter way to play better golf. Total Game Fitting at the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at Business 80.
When life calls for a little extra, a kitchen upgrade, paying off debt, or that dream vacation, Valley Strong Credit Union is here to help. With a Valley Strong home equity loan, you can tap into your home's value with competitive rates, flexible terms, and local guidance you can trust. Get approved in as little as 5 minutes, with funding in as few as 5 days. Your goals are within reach. Visit valleystrong.com to get your offer today. Valley Strong Credit Union. Grow your possibilities. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 45650.
See the work that Max puts in this summer. How much does he hit the weight room, try and bulk up? How much of his offensive game and defensive game does he work on, becoming a little bit more of a rim protector? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hope that, in a way, Dylan Cardwell and Maxime Raynaud spend almost their entire summer together, because both of those guys could lend each other parts of their game, right? You would love for Max to develop as a rim protector and a rim runner a bit more than Dylan Cardwell is, and you love for Dylan to establish his offensive touch around the rim and that floater that Max has down a little bit more. Now, of course, these are they might play the same position, but these are two very different types of players in terms of like how they play and the kind of finesse versus the physicality. But they could both teach each other a thing or two, and I'm excited to see what both those guys look like. I expect we're going to see both of them in Summer League. I hope that the Kings are back participating in the California Classic. Last summer they did not participate, but it sounded like it was just going to be like a one-year hiatus. So I hope that the Kings are, one, back in the California Classic, and two, that California Classic is back where it belongs, inside the Golden One Center in Sacramento. But speaking of the Golden One Center, right now in the practice facility, Kings rookie Maxime Raynaud, the 42nd overall pick that should be on the all-rookie team. He is speaking with the media. Let's hear from the Stanford alum.
Hey, Max. This summer, we talked a little bit like a punch list of things you might want to improve on this summer. Have you started to put together sort of a list of things that you really want to focus on?
Definitely. I also have my meeting with coaches and Scott in like 2 hours, so we'll know a little bit more then. But I think the main line will be improve on everything physical related, your body, being a little bit more explosive, a little bit stronger, go side to side a little faster, have a better second jump, that kind of stuff. I think that will be the baseline. And then skill-wise, improve on what I've started to improve on at the end of the season. Keep shooting threes, tighten up a little bit ball handling, that kind of stuff. And then as the summer progresses, being able to include all the skills a little bit better in like, team action and team play. So I think this is what, came up with me and my PD over the last couple of games. But as I said, we'll have the meeting after and officially write down what we need to work on.
Max, 2 for you. Do you plan on staying here in Sacramento to work on those things, or do you think that you'll go back and forth between here and France?
I'll be probably here for the most part. Obviously, if there's some national team events that I may partake in, I will have to go there. But I think the main idea is to probably stay here. The facilities, the coaches. It's like close to my new home, I guess. So it'll be a little simpler. But once again, everything's an asterisk,
Totally. Final one is, when you look back on the season, what's your welcome to the NBA moment for yourself?
My handshake with Shannon, definitely. We can show you guys after. It was pretty high level.
What was so great about it?
It's a really cool one, actually. But no, I think my welcome to the NBA moment, there were many. I think I was very, starstruck when, first met Debo, Zach, Domas, Russ, when he got signed. That followed up with the Spider-Man backpack, being reminded that you're a rookie on the daily. And then, I don't know, probably a couple plays where you just still feel like a child and you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm all the way ready for this. But just the whole experience, the whole first 6 months was a lot.
What do you think you'll remember most about the year overall?
It's a good question. Understand how your body and mind work. I think I've never experienced that many games in my life, that many up and downs too. So being able to, look back on that and be able to prepare for next year a little bit better. I know you have kind of like dips in energy, like right before All-Star break, something that, I've never experienced before at that level. So being able to prepare for that a little bit better, that's something I'll try to take away. But mostly I'll just try to remember the positive, and all the amazing people we met, all my vets and all the people that, helped us make that possible, whether it's like equipment people, whether it's like PR, whether it is, the weight room, the cleaning people, our chefs, like everything, right? So, yeah.
You mentioned the constant reminders of being a rookie. Did that ever kind of go away at any point, given the productivity that you showed and just kind of the daily grind? Did it ever get to a point where you're like, I don't feel like a rookie anymore?
No, I would say it actually became even worse once your productivity went up, because then they want to remind you like, oh, you think you're cool because, you had a good game, but no, you're not. It's not really. I do think the way you behave, like, in like the workplace, if I can call it like that, or like your team, outside of the court, really doesn't matter if you're averaging like 40 or if you're averaging like 0, right? It's more about how you interact with others, kind of like the duties you have to have, carrying bags, being kind of like at the service of like the older guys, and then also understanding that there is also some kind of like a pecking order in the team, and that like guys with more experience, like their voice matter more, and that's completely fair. So that's more what I meant by it. But then obviously on the court, the maybe unsure rookie that came into the year is much different than the player that ended the season here, who is like, I would say, much more confident, like understand his role a little bit better. But yeah, when I meant rookie, I meant more non.
Was not like the moment where you had your NBA moment, but was there a moment where you felt like, I think I belong here and I think I can do this?
I remember like 2 games, one of them being Utah, the beginning of the year, not the first one, but the second one. First one there, where Russ just went up to me. It was the fourth quarter, and he was like, look, like, I just need you to, like, be confident, like, when I'm going to pass you the ball, like, really, like, shoot it, like, be confident with it. And I think I had, like 12 points straight in the fourth, and then the very next game, we go to Houston. I think I had, like, 25 against, like, some of, like, the strongest big I've ever played against. So these kind of like back-to-back really like boost my confidence, and I was like, you know what, like after all, maybe I belong here. But it's only really once I started being able to produce more consistently over like a longer period of time that I was like, okay, maybe now I understand what I'm able to produce. But at no point I ever was, okay, I'm there. I've arrived to the destination I want to be. Like, I can't just rest and like, this is good enough. I do feel like once you start to like settle a little bit, that's when it comes back and like kick you in the butt. So, yeah, that was around that time.
Max, many Kings fans were introduced to you earlier this year at the Rookie Talent Show, where you got on top of the scorers table and were dancing to Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. To go from that to be an everyday starting big man, you led the league in double-doubles for a rookie, and to have the season you had on the court. When you look back at your journey from that Rookie Talent Show to where you're at now, how do you describe that?
A lot of happiness and a lot of like enjoyment. I do think that being able to enjoy the process and enjoy those like little things like the Rookie Show is what make the experience like that much cooler. Obviously when results on the court follow, it makes it so much better, but at the end of the day, like I always say it, but I get paid to play with an orange basketball in front of thousands of people, which is ridiculous to me. But, you know, I'm very serious about my work, but I'm very unserious about myself. And I think that's what really helped me go through that. But it was a lot of unexpected stuff. Obviously, you know, team had injuries, and that, as you know, as sad as it is, it also like opened up opportunities for me. So a lot of stuff I did not expect turned out good on my end, right? So just happy it turned out that way, and my goal is like trying to keep enjoying it for as long as I can.
Hey Max, apparently it's the new thing to cape for yourself and end of season awards and things like that. So I'm going to ask you, would you like to take this opportunity to make your you know your reason for all rookie team or anything like that?
I mean, I don't really think I need to sell myself in the sense that, you know, season is over. You can just look back and look at it. I think your colleague like just mentioned, I led the rookies in double-doubles, led them in rebound per game as well. I think if you see the improvement, especially like post All-Star break, like probably the only rookie that, you know, trended that way the whole year. And yeah, I believe I'm like second in efficiency or something like that. I do think if you just, you know, look at the numbers and look at the games that I've had against like bigs of my class that may be competing with me for first team, I think that I showed that I was better, or at least I produced more. So that is what it is. I think the Western Conference Rookie of the Month, in March was like, you know, the kind of like the summary of this, and it's not an end goal. Obviously, it's not because you have a good rookie season that you'll be good afterwards, but do think I've showed a lot, especially in the last couple of months, so I hope that will be enough. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not the one who votes. Like, I don't even know who votes actually, but whoever votes, like, that'd be great. Love it. But at the end of the day, like, you guys are professional. You know what to do. The only one thing that will always kind of be against me and that I cannot really control is like, it's a little less sexier when you have end of a second round guy that makes first team instead of like your usual like top 5, top 10 lottery guy.
I hear what Max is saying there. Sorry we had to cut out. I think it's a pretty compelling case from Maxime Raynaud about why he deserves to be on the all-rookie team, and I completely agree with him, although, of course, there's a little bias over here, but who are we kidding? Take the bias away. Max deserves it. And he's right. It's less sexy to have the 42nd pick make the all-rookie team compared to the top picks, but it doesn't matter how sexy it is when he deserves it because he belongs there. And Max has been one of the best rookie stories this season. by a wide margin. He deserves to be up there with how great Con Knipple has been this year, how great Cooper Flagg has been this year, VJ Edgecombe. These guys were all tip-top picks. And Max at 42 is in the same conversation as them. Enough said. We'll take the break. When we come back, Whitey Gleason and Alan Stiles, the Drive guys, join me for a little bit of crosstalk. Then they'll take over as we still have more rookies to hear from. Neat Clifford yet to speak. Hear from Dylan Cardwell, Devin Carter. The Kings still to come, coming your way on the Drive guys, and they join me next here to wrap up the show. It's Matt and Kayla on Sactown Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
There are many reasons to choose Gonzalez Law Offices. As a dedicated trial lawyer with an undefeated record from 2016 through 2019, and you'll know that no case is too big or too small. Due to his success, hard work, and commitment to excellence, attorney Jonathan Gonzalez has been listed in Super Lawyers Rising Stars, as well as in the top 40 under 40 list by national trial lawyers. You can find Gonzalez Law Office online at SacLegalDefense.com or call him at 916-304-9187.
With Popeye's new $6 faves menu, you can get this 3-piece chicken, this 3-piece tenders, this chicken sandwich, or these 2 regular sides for just $6 a piece. I know you can't see what I see, but trust me, those bold Louisiana flavors look so good, you might just have to get them all. Now there's an idea.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Price may vary. Terms apply.
Tune in every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the Toyota Tahoe Report with Johnny Mosley and me, Elena, bringing you the latest weather conditions up at Tahoe. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers, Toyota. Let's go places.
Capital Casino is conveniently located in downtown 411 16th Street and has been a part of the greater Sacramento area for over 20 years. They offer the best variety of games in the region in a safe and friendly environment, and there's plenty of parking, all well lit and monitored by security. Come have a great meal at the cafe and restaurant inside. Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action, but please always remember to gamble responsibly.
To me. This is what we're doing?
What?
This is what we're doing? We're doing
What's up?
Agent Allen on exit interview
Oh, he's
day.
the guy. I mean, he's got the sources. That's so.
Yeah, Allen's intel.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, or Whitey, what he was hearing and what I'm hearing. So
Right.
yeah, we're all on the same page.
You just open your email.
Can you confirm what Sean Cunningham confirmed
that what the Athletic reported?
Which one?
Oh, well, that Doug Christie is likely to stay. Can you confirm that confirmation of the story?
I can confirm.
Okay.
I can confirm.
Okay.
I can confirm.
How about you? Can you confirm his confirmation?
I deny anything that he says.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, it's already been confirmed. It's already been confirmed.
Alan confirming something makes me more skeptical.
Really?
Oh. Well, hey, I mean. Well, they tried to avoid any skepticism by getting ahead of it. I thought some people felt like the Doug report was interesting to come out prior to the lottery and knowing where you were picking going into do we go full rebuild if we get number 1 or if we get 8 or whatever. I don't know, though. Most of the time, it feels like when they make decisions on coaches, I mean, Mother's Day is still 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away. That's a while.
It's a while to drag it out.
Wait. So I don't think that was a realistic
assumption. If they're going to make a coaching change, though, they like to get the coach in the building before the draft, a la Mike Brown got in literally days before or like a week before the Keegan Murray draft.
Right.
So, yeah, I think we all were kind of waiting to see between now and the lottery what they were going to do, and clearly they felt there's no need to drag it out, commit to them. Kind of wish they had done it before the Warriors game in Sacramento, so we could have had that in Sacramento to talk to Doug about. Of course, he's here for his exit interview later this week, so I guess we'll talk to him about it then. But he had a little peace of mind going into that final game against the Portland Trail Blazers, so I'm sure he didn't mind that too much.
Can I ask you a question? I know this is your show.
Well, please do.
What, if anything, stood out to you the most about the exit interviews that we've heard so far?
Nothing overly surprising. I think one of the biggest quotes of the day, which I reacted to, was I think it can be taken more dramatically than it needs to, but it stood out to me. Zach LaVine was asked about, like, I think Sean Cunningham asked the question about, like, what do you need or like, what are you looking for your future here in Sacramento?
Here's Sean Cunningham. Who? I don't know.
That guy. Zach basically said along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he kind of pointed out, like, the rotations and the rhythm could have been better. I think those are the words that he used. And he proceeded to talk about, like, he talked about the injuries. He talked about it was tough for coaches with, like, having to patchwork everybody and keep everything together. But then he also kind of concluded that with nobody really cares about that. Like, essentially the way I took it was we have to do a better job of utilizing our talent better. And I think there was always kind of this underlying tone of, is Zach being used correctly? So I didn't interpret that as like he's talking about Doug Christie or taking a shot at Doug Christie or anything, because I believe the Kings needed to utilize their talent significantly better this season than they did. So I agree with Zach. I just thought it was interesting that he said that compared to, like, when DeMar was asked about it or Malik was asked about it. They all went like, hey, that's up to them. That's not for me to comment on. That's for them to figure out. I just play basketball. Zach certainly had an opinion.
Now I have a question for you. What did he just say?
Zach.
I'm just kidding.
Zach. Sounds like Zach maybe wasn't thrilled with how he was used.
He left the door open to that speculation.
To be fair, though, I've watched Zach LaVine for however many games he's been in Sacramento and, fired up some tape from when he was in Chicago. I don't know what Zach LaVine wants.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know what he wants as an offensive player. I don't know.
Kyle, do you have that clip? Because I remember you isolated it of LaVine. Kyle's going to track it down so we can play it for us. Okay, here we go. Here's Zach LaVine's comment.
What's kind of maybe your message to the organization in terms of, obviously you have a decision to make, but like in terms of a bright future or something that makes it right for you? What are some of those things that have to be right for you?
Yeah, I think we could do a lot better job with, having a rhythm out there and figuring out the right, rotations and lineups. And, it's a season where, it was a lot of mismatch stuff, and it wasn't anybody's fault that we weren't even able to have our full roster. And I know that's tough, being able to, you just have to, you're almost playing patchwork. You're not playing with a full deck, but that's no one else really cares about that. But for me, just trying to figure out, put each other in the best situation to be, successful. Everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. You take a little bit away from the team, obviously, you try to be as unselfish as you can so everyone else can stand out, but you want to make sure that you're playing a role and playing in a situation where you're able to do the best you can.
There you go. That stood out to me.
Do you think it's significant at all that he said he's still evaluating whether or not he wants to exercise his option?
No, I think that's nonsense. I think he's going to. Everybody knows he's going to pick up his option. He said he and his team are going to see the best path forward. Hey, pal, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you your best path forward is taking $49.5 million.
Yeah, this whole thing, to me, it's funny because I know we're talking specifically about Zach LaVine and what that's going to look like. They got to figure it out. They got to figure out what the offense is going to be. If they're going to go with Doug again, I think there are some things that need to get firmed up here. But I'll tell you what, guys.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you what. How many times, Kyle, we need a counter. How many times, whether it's the players, whether it's the owner, whether it's the coach, whether it's the rest of the front office, how many times do we have to hear this team wasn't fully healthy? It wasn't fully healthy. What's going to happen? You got to run it back. You got to give everybody a chance.
Don't even joke about
You got to give them a chance.
Hold on, because we've been listening to exit interviews all day, and I will say that didn't come up as much as I thought it would be, the injuries. And Keegan was asked a direct question about, do you wish you could run it back? And Keegan was basically like, that never happens in the league, so we're not running. It's not going to happen.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm not
Stop it.
Hybrid.
I can smell how strong his coffee is from here.
I can too.
Look, I did brew strong today.
It is strong.
Because it's a brand new day. It's over. The season's over. We're free.
Are you crying?
We are free.
He's crying.
Oh, my goodness.
No, we're not.
We are free.
Well, we're free from Kings basketball.
We
but
are.
This ish about to pick up.
Oh, no, but this is great. Hope is back.
Oh.
All we got to do, I got a countdown on my phone for Mother's Day. Not just for my mother and my lovely wife, but also
ping pong ball day.
For the ping pong balls. We did it. No more. No more. Oh, I can't wait, Whitey.
We're about to stress out over a coin flip. You see the difference in this coin flip? If it's like a 14% chance.
I heard you talking about
difference of, shout out Kyle for putting this together. It's a 14% chance difference of being in the top 6 if they win or lose the coin flip.
We're good.
Yeah?
No, I want it. I want it. No more. Oh, we don't have to win. We don't have to do it. It's over.
I know what you mean. I understand exactly where you're coming from, but it is always sad when the season ends.
I agree.
It's not.
Yeah.
I agree. And I did give this group credit because the camaraderie was significant considering everything they went through. I know it's results and everything like that, but okay, Alan ain't subscribing with that. Alan's being sarcastic over here with his strong brew coffee. But I'm with you, Whitey. I appreciated it for what it was.
No, I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's just the camaraderie. It's a brotherhood.
Oh, it's going to be.
Oh, the brotherhood.
It's going to be that kind of show.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been waiting for this for months. For months.
Styles and the strong brew, a bad combination.
Come on, Maddie. You know you're ready.
Alan is going to miss Kings basketball 3 weeks from now. But coming up next.
He's not going to sleep for 3 weeks.
It's The Drive, guys. Alan Styles, Whitey Gleason. They'll take you the rest of the way. More at Kings exit interviews on the way. They'll react to what was already said. I will be back tomorrow. Kayla will be with me. Back from vacation. We'll see you at 10.